They usually, I was gonna say usually
we're muted.
Yeah, gotcha. Well,
I was just complimenting Matt from saying how stellar he was.
Yeah. No.
But
it's
anyhow,
he's talking about my penis.
No,
So
not that elaborate.
Yeah.
No way.
You can never defend yourself because
No
we
way.
didn't know what was being said when the music was going.
No way. You never know.
We're here.
I appreciate the compliment, but where you said right before the podcast.
Here we are. Not Cool in High School. If you guys like what you hear, check all the links below. Hit that like, subscribe button. We actually lost 2 subscribers.
Did we really?
Yeah, on YouTube. We were at 390
Bullshit.
and we're 388
Who
now.
goes around and unsubscribes? I don't know.
It's the same guy. Probably the same
How
guy.
mad
my
must you
day.
be to unsubscribe?
You're like, you know what? I don't like that at all.
I don't think I've ever unsubscribed. I don't even think of it.
Yeah. We gotta have that one guy who goes around and dislikes every video. I think it's adorable.
Probably it was like not effective, and he's just like, nope,
If you
unsubscribe.
have the
That's
time
even worse.
to do that,
Yeah, you've got to be an interesting
Yeah,
individual.
thank you for giving us the view, I guess. Yeah. So we're gonna. If you guys like the stuff you're hearing, hit that like, subscribe, and also check the links below. We do have a merch store. You can buy cool merch. The sale just ended a couple days ago for 10% off, but you really don't need the 10% off because they're super low already. We're gonna talk some news, and we're gonna welcome our newest team.
The newest team.
Newest team member.
Team.
A new player has joined. I'll give you a little. Give your introduction. Tell people who we are.
Hi, everybody. My name's Brianna. It's really nice to be here. I'm thrilled to be a part of the team.
Awesome.
You have a very nice voice.
Yeah,
already.
I was going to say she has
Like
like a sex talk voice.
Oh boy,
If you were to call in,
the Rocco. Oh baby, oh baby, oh baby.
you know, it's like if there's any dorks listen, like, oh girl.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
You're bringing the sex appeal because none of us have it.
Well, I'm happy to be here for that.
Well, according to Ben during the music, my penis.
Yeah.
We can't show it on camera though,
Oh my
so
God.
that's a waste.
If your headphones or anything are too loud, just tell them and it'll
Yeah, well,
switch it.
well,
too loud, too low,
too
whatever.
loud, too low.
Oh, great. Good. Thank you.
So this is our first episode. We did have some feedback back in the day. We used to have Sarah on the show, and then people were like, man, we kind of miss having the female perspective of things, and now it's back.
Yeah.
You ask and you shall receive. She's actually married to another member of the team who makes
Whoa.
it.
Well, we're not going to tell you.
We're not gonna. You have to
Mystery.
guess. You
Take
have
a
to guess.
Anybody want to guess?
Yeah. So guess in the comments. So yeah, she is married. So don't be a creep and go stalk
Yeah,
and add
don't do
her
that.
and do weird things.
Oh,
and send
dear
I don't
Lord.
like stalkers. I'm not a fan.
Unsolicited pics and stuff.
No, thank you.
That's like people like Drew's sister, because of the pictures of the con. There was wrestlers adding her, and I was like, don't add her.
Yeah.
You don't know her. Don't add her.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I
Very
don't.
weird.
I don't have
Don't
to.
do it.
I hate it, but I don't. How do you get the confidence to even do it? Like, I see a girl I like, and I'll maybe add her.
Yeah.
But if she doesn't like any of my posts, she just sits on my friends list because
Yeah.
I have no confidence to talk to her whatsoever.
But it's like, imagine like, okay, you know the guy, and they're like, oh, well, there's that girl, and here's a picture of her husband, and you still add her. It's like, don't do that.
Oh yeah, no, that's definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird.
It's been less than like 5 times I've
There's
had
been-
a girl
there's
that I
been
thought was
times-
attractive, and I don't think
Sometimes
they're
I do. I just never interact with them ever.
That's exactly what happens.
There's
I'm
been
like, maybe
times-
they'll see my post and fall in love.
There's been times where I've met like a couple, and I'm like, all right, because I don't know. I don't think this way, but I know other people do. Like, I think when I first met you guys, I was like, I scoured a friends list to find Mark first to send him the friend request before I sent you on. Because you don't
the member she's married to.
Yeah, because you don't.
Well, there goes the,
yeah,
the
game. My bad.
Spoiler
I ruined the
alert.
game.
Hopefully
But
somebody guessed it.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Like, I will go out and hang out with female coworkers and not think twice of it because I'm not the mentality of a middle school person.
Yeah, and you're not some hornball single guy either.
Like, oh my god, you're hanging out with these girls. I'm like, yeah, we're friends. You're allowed to have different fronts and be friends with people. It's okay. Just don't be a weird about it.
I've known Bria for a long time now.
I've had
What,
guy
10
friends take.
Yeah, I was gonna say about 10 years.
Yeah, I've had guy friends take Heidi to dinner because I hate going to restaurants.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
She's like, I really want to go to clam night. And I'm like, hey, he likes clams. Both of you get the fuck out of here. Leave me alone. I'm going to watch a movie.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll start off the news here. Well, today is, it won't be, today's not, when you listen to it, it's not going to be this day anymore. But today is Mario Day.
Oh, because it's March 10th.
March
and you put
10th.
Mario. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a Lego announcement. I don't know if they announced
Yeah,
it.
Lego, it wasn't supposed to be announced, but Lego dropped it, and then they were like, well, fuck, it's already out there. Lego is going to be making Mario Legos.
Yeah, but I don't think there's no pictures or anything yet.
No. When they put the post out, it said, just announced at Nintendo Direct, Mario and Well, Nintendo and Lego team up. It's not just Mario.
Oh, okay. So it might
Nintendo.
be Donkey Kong and stuff.
Yeah, and they're like, so yeah, we're excited to form the partnership with the two of the biggest companies in the world with Lego.
I would assume it would be a castle with Mario, Peach, and Bowser. Right?
I would buy Peach Castle, build it
if they make
and Mario Karts and stuff. Fuck
yeah, I mean they can.
Awesome.
I mean, but the first one it has to be a Mario. Maybe it's Mario and Donkey Kong. Maybe that's the first one.
I'll tell you what. If they make a Super Metroid or Metroid one,
or Smash Brothers,
sure as shit buying that. Oh my god!
Yeah, just the ship and then her and the.
Could
top.
you imagine?
Yeah.
Could you imagine like a playset that it's like a Smash Brothers level?
Yeah,
like the platforms and
there's a lot of money to be made there.
Oh my god!
Have you seen a new show they're doing? I got so mad watching this preview for no reason, but there's like a show about Lego builders right now on Fox or whatever.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks awesome, but then there's a scene where they're like breaking down and crying because their Legos fell apart. And I'm like, what is your life?
Whoa.
What is your life like that you're crying about this right now? I was so pissed.
It's the same people who like
put it back together.
Who get upset when like they're baking a cake and they're in a competition and it falls over.
Oh yeah, they start crying. I'm like, it ain't that bad. No one's dying.
I was so irrationally mad when I saw the preview. I'm like, this is awesome, and then I see the girl crying, and I just like wanted to punch my cat. Like, get over your cat. I love my cat.
Xbox Series X has new news coming out next week. That's all I really got.
Is that the new system?
The new system. Sony has still been in silence, and a lot of
but it's PlayStation 5.
and a lot of analysts are starting to think that there may be some issues at Sony.
Do you think they'll have it out in time? Because they both want holiday season next year, right?
Yeah,
or this year.
This year.
Wow. Yeah.
People are nervous for Sony right
now. Maybe they'll hold off. Hey,
a lot of people are starting to think maybe Sony has been hearing Xbox
with the backwards stuff,
and everything like that, and they're not putting anything out because I think they don't want to make false promises and stuff, and they know that this is a big cycle year. Like if they fuck up, they're gonna lose that top spot.
If you need more time, take more time.
Yeah.
Better than rushing a system out.
Definitely.
So I had still no news from Sony, and they're not.
It's called PlayStation 5. They don't know what it looks like yet or anything.
They're not. They're not going to be at E3 at all. So you're not going to get. Any
they pulled
news
out because of what they want to do their own thing.
They've been doing the Sony,
that's dumb.
Yeah. I've never really got into like I've loved E3. Like E3 is like Christmas for me. I just love watching all the panels and stuff. And every year Sony's, everyone's like, "That was fantastic." I was like, I didn't like it.
A lot of times I'm let down by the whole thing.
It starts off with like a 45-minute music montage.
Yeah.
And then they show like 5 games.
It'll be like all of these. Like I care more about what Capcom's making. Like, you know, that's like games like that.
Every year until Sony pulled out of E3 for 5 years, it was giant music melody. And they showed the 3 exclusive games that they were still working on for 5 years. So we've seen Uncharted until that came out. We've seen Spider-Man. We've seen God of War 4, and we've seen the Days Gone or whatever.
Last of Us.
And Horizon Zero Dawn for like 5 years, and that's all we've seen from Sony. And people are like, "This is amazing." I'm like, "That was the same show last year," and they're like, "Xbox sucked." I was like, at least I'm going to play those games this year.
Are the Sony Spider-Man games good, though? Because they look awesome.
They're fantastic.
They look fucking awesome.
Spider-Man, it's a difficulty really ramps up then, but it's good.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, I'm not a big gamer, but I always looked at that as a game I would start if I wanted to start again.
The only issue I had with Spider-Man, I didn't finish it yet, but the only issue I had is you are Spider-Man. You're supposed to be super strong. You do all these really, really cool things. And then you get into a fight, and you don't feel like you're Spider-Man. Like I feel like when you hit your spider senses, it should slow down a little bit and give you. I mean, I know it would make it a little easier.
Yeah, it's kind of like Batman, where like it goes off and you have to dodge or something.
Like henchmen should not. They shouldn't be giving you an issue.
Yeah, no, like
boss fights. Yes, they could be tough. And then the only other thing too is like we'll do like a cutscene and it's like he has to open up a garage door, and he's like, I can't do it. I'm like, you realize Spider-Man can lift like 4 tons. He will rip that garage door off. You know what I mean?
He restricts himself, definitely.
Yeah, and it's just like he's super strong, and then like he's like, "Hey, you want to give me a hand opening this door?" And then the cop comes over and helps Spider-Man open the door. I'm like, "What?
He doesn't need that."
Well, maybe he doesn't want to vandalize.
Yeah.
I always felt like the Spidey games are really hard. Like every time I played them compared to other games, I felt like they're the really hardest ones out of all of them. I don't know why.
I think I'm having
the Web of Shadows when you click the button and get the Venom suit. Yeah, and you can go back and forth. That was my favorite.
I'm not having. I wasn't having that hard of a time with the game. I think because I'm not saying I'm the super smart, no, but like I got so sidetracked in the collectibles and side missions.
That's fairly easy. The collectibles.
So, well, no, the pigeon one is hard as shit.
Yeah.
So
I couldn't
got
catch one.
really good at web slinging and moving around because I took time to learn how to be Spider-Man. So then when I did fights, I sucked at fighting, but I could move around like nobody's business. Like you couldn't hit me.
I wasn't very good in the fighting in that game.
That sounds cool though. Like it sounds like a clay shooting a target game.
Yeah,
shooting pigeons.
Yeah, it's really.
It's very hard to catch the pigeons.
I've played like I said, everyone assumes because I play poker for a living or whatever. I'm this huge gamer. I've played like less than 5 games in my life. I've played Mega Man, which I loved. I was really good at like Wolfenstein's Castle or whatever.
Coming for you.
Yeah.
That was
like Halo 2 and 3, and that's about it. I mean, I sucked ass at Call of Duty. I tried it, but I sucked. Like
Well, speaking of PlayStation, one of their heavy hitter exclusives are going to PC. It is official now.
Oh, what's that?
Horizon Zero Dawn will be a PC game.
Okay. It's a great game. I loved it.
Yeah,
It's
so
very
I guess a lot
Native
of
American.
a lot of PlayStation people are upset.
That would be me.
Yeah,
I did not hear that.
Yeah, so it's officially going to PC. They pretty much said that this is the only game that they're going to put. Like, don't expect Spider-Man, don't expect God of War.
Why not?
Is it going to be for both though, or just PC?
It's already been out.
Yeah,
for
it's been out for like 2 years. It's fantastic.
Because I was going to say
It's really good.
Yeah,
That would be rough
I guess
for
they're trying
PC only.
to lure PC players to be like, see what you're missing.
But then it's like
No PC players would be like, this game's so fantastic, I'm
I
going
can
to go buy
the
my
place.
system.
Yeah. That's stupid.
They're going to be like, you really want us.
I want a
So
sequel to that game. That's what I want.
I haven't played that one yet, but it is on my
Well,
list.
Becky Lynch came out as her the one time at that one pay-per-view. I can't remember it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, she had the whole Aloy, like her hair was all crazy.
Oh, I do remember that
looking.
pay-per-view. I just didn't know who she was trying to be.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy are going to be in Thor 4.
Which makes sense because he's in Guardians 3.
And he's in Guardians 3, and they ended the
And they
movie
leave,
with
yeah.
him leaving. So I
So-
don't know why this is breaking news,
Yeah.
but I'll say it.
That's breaking news. Like it's gonna be called
Well,
PlayStation 5. What?
It's breaking news because right after they did that, everyone was tweeting as Guardians of the Galaxy to James Gunn, and he was like, "Don't call it that." Like he denied that they were involved together, so that's why it's breaking news because he was like, "No, it's not."
I didn't believe him.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot didn't.
I
but
pro wrestling. I watch pro wrestling.
Yeah, it's
I
all
never,
work.
I never buy anything.
I even said
a
at the
work.
time, like if they missed that comedy opportunity because it's so good,
Yeah.
like the last 2 or 3 minutes with them together, if they miss that
yeah,
comedy
they're
opportunity,
fighting
it's
over who's the.
Yeah, I'd
who's
watch
gonna
a
be the
whole
boss.
movie. Yeah. We all know who the boss
That
is.
scene is absolutely hilarious when when Peter Quill looks away and Thor stares at him and goes, like that shit's hilarious.
That is so good.
Every time.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
We know who the
Yeah.
boss is. Yeah,
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
They
Yeah, we know who the boss.
this newest, I don't know if we should talk about spoilers on here, but this newest Black Widow trailer released something that's like got everybody
I didn't
flipping
watch
out
the
today.
newest one. The poster
Is
was
it about the
fantastic.
Taskmaster?
No, it's about. All right, I guess we'll talk about it. If you guys don't, do you know the channel on YouTube?
If it's a trailer, it's not really a spoiler because you can go watch the trailer.
Well, it is though because it's of the YouTube channel New Rockstars. They break down every trailer.
Okay, yeah.
They're awesome, by the way. If you like go to New Rockstars and you can watch, like, it will make you appreciate all the MCU movies because you can be like Thor 1 breakdown New Rockstars, and they break down all the Easter eggs, all the comic
that's
book
cool.
references.
Because a lot of people it goes over their heads.
Amazing. Yeah, that channel's amazing. But they broke down this latest trailer, and there's a scene where it looks like Elena Belova or whatever her name is has Scarlett Johansson's face, so they're saying that it might have been Yelena Belova that died.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's like a big.
I wouldn't buy into that.
There's gonna be some kind of
Well,
swerve.
it
She's still
actually
alive.
it makes sense to me both because of the way they presented it, but also because her death was so underwhelming in the last movie to where they didn't really give her a proper funeral, and it would make sense that they would be like people were calling it sexism, and if she's dead and really dead, like, it does suck how they took her out. But if they didn't give her a proper funeral, so they didn't disconnect the fans from the character, then it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
If it's Yelena
agree with
Belova.
Which makes sense.
So yeah, that's how I sort of feel about it. That's
they're
my
gonna do
own
something because
that's original. That's
she
on
still
Rockstars.
agreed to do movies. So why
Pardon me?
would you kill
Rockstars.
her off if she's
Yeah, that's
I agree
I
with
think
that.
that
what's her name? Scarlett's going to do movies.
that's my own thought about it. Is they didn't want to disconnect the audience from the character.
We got Blaze in here.
We have a run-in.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then there was a report like a week and a half ago that RDJ is thinking about coming back.
Really?
I saw that.
That's sweet money.
Yeah. Well,
those
Clones,
checks.
baby, clones.
Listen,
he was so adamant that
Oh, you know
he
what they could
wasn't.
do? They could have him be like the AI.
Yeah.
where
Well,
it's
they're
all
going
new
into
stuff.
they're going into the multiverse. Like you could literally do anything with
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
That's how Spider-Gwen's going to come.
But
no one ever stays dead in Marvel Comics.
No,
No.
Well,
Except
Never do.
Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
actually, speaking of new rock
He
stars,
never comes back.
Speaking of new rock stars, there's a breakdown where they break down the Spider-Man movie, the second one, and at the end of it, there's a girl that's walking past them
who
with
has
a
the-
black web skirt on.
Yeah,
so
and
they're
she
saying
has the colors.
maybe she's in the MCU because that might be Spider-Gwen. She's
Yeah, she has a
blonde,
blue
tall,
hoodie,
Yeah.
so she has Spider-Gwen's colors on.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I
That
would
channel,
love
dude. That channel's ridiculously dope.
Spider-Gwen, if they put her in live action, would be
I think it's a matter of time.
cult classic
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
for
I
a new
like,
generation
Yeah.
of fans.
Especially young
Yeah.
girls.
Yeah.
Speaking of female
Like
superheroes,
Batgirl.
too,
If they ever do like a Batgirl
Yeah,
movie,
or Miss Marvel.
I've always
explode.
wanted Supergirl. I think that's such an untouched story. Even
Well,
though
the
there's
TV
a show
show.
about it. Yeah, I know there's a TV show, but I think it's such an untapped for the movies. I think it
Yeah.
has ridiculous potential.
They teased it in was it Batman vs Superman or was it Man of Steel? When there's two pods and he's like, that one's open already.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. What you're
There was a
talking
lot of stuff that Zack Snyder wanted to do.
Yeah,
He had a
it's-
whole universe, and they're just like,
The whole DC thing is like,
yeah, if they just would have let him go, just let him make the movies he wanted, they would have been fine.
Some hero just released a DVD copy of the Birds of Prey movie online.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I always watch the
Some
underground sites or
hero.
whatever.
I want to
Some
watch
hero.
it.
Some hero is also releasing
It's
the.
not Birds of Prey.
Yeah,
It's
it
a Harley
is.
Quinn movie.
It did get officially changed. So when it
Yeah.
comes out on Blu-ray, it will be Harley Quinn and
The
like the Birds of
Emancipation,
Prey.
yeah,
Yeah,
or something
yeah,
like
it was called the Fabulous Emancipation.
It's the Birds of
Or
Prey,
Fantabulous.
Fantabulous
Yeah,
Emancipation of Harley
but
Quinn.
now they changed it because to make more money. It says Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey.
While we're on
that's
DC,
what should have been
I
named from the
don't
beginning.
have it written down here, but while we're on DC, a lot of people are giving the Harley Quinn cartoon high
Yeah,
praise.
yeah, I
They said
heard it's really good.
fantastic. And then there's something else on the DC
Put it out in
show.
that Blu-ray, please.
Well, I was going to say about the Birds of Prey movie, so I watched it. It's good. They fucked up one character. Well, Harley Quinn herself, it's like you either got to take it or leave it because her
Yeah.
accent's always breaking.
Yeah,
the chick that's
I
playing
think she's doing better in this one though. From what I heard, really? From
it's
the
bad
trailer.
in
I was
this
like,
one. It's so like there's so many scenes where it's just broken up from like word to word, but
Oh, boy.
it's rough. Like she has these when she's doing the voiceover, she has
Yeah.
a real thick accent,
Yeah.
and then it will cut to a scene, and she's like talking.
normal.
Yeah, it's complete. So that's
She
like
just had Tara Strong
distracting.
do it.
Yeah.
But like the one
Tara Strong's
character,
hot too.
the one character that I absolutely love in DC, and I don't think they gave her enough
Cassandra
screen
Cain?
time, is the Huntress.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I like her too.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite DC characters. Period. Not just female characters. She's awesome, and I don't think they gave her
Nelly,
enough.
what's her first name?
Valerie Bertinelli?
No, that's the
Oh,
girl.
that's
from
an
the
actress.
70s.
No, what? No.
Helena.
Helena.
Helena Bertinelli.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's one of my favorite characters. I don't think they gave her enough screen time. I don't know if it was cast perfectly well either. I think that might have something to do with
Yeah.
it. But I love her character. I wish they gave her a little more time.
She was originally from Earth 2, and she's Batman and Catwoman's daughter. And they put her on Earth 1, and she's just some rich guy's daughter.
Yeah, well, the Bertinelli family, it actually
Yeah.
ties into the Green Arrow story a
Yeah.
lot. She was featured back in the Green Arrow story.
I liked
Yeah,
her
she's-
on the Green Arrow.
she's in
Yeah.
season
Yeah,
1,
I do
isn't
too.
For
she?
the Arrow. Yeah, she is. She's
Yeah.
a good character. She's really good on that.
And I like her character just in
I
general.
tried so hard to like that show.
Really? I thought the
You don't like Arrow?
first
Oh my
season
God,
was
I
a
love
little,
it.
was good. Second season was awesome.
I was
Third,
watching it. I was like, all right.
Right?
They wanted to make a Batman show, but couldn't get the rights for
Yes, that's
Batman.
big,
So they
Green-
put
Green
they
Arrow.
they literally just took Bruce Wayne and skinned him with
Yeah.
Oliver Quinn. I'll get over it.
I'm right.
I
And kept
do like
watching
his
it, and
origin story,
I was
though.
like,
Yeah.
I was like, cool. They're actually gonna have an Arrow character, like a villain. He's dead. Oh, cool. Now they're gonna put all Batman villains. All right, here we go. And then he meets Ra's al Ghul, and he's like, I always wanted you to be the
Yeah,
head. And
this
I'm
is
like,
Batman, yeah.
click. I was like, I'm done with this fucking show.
Some of those scenes are rough.
I was like, I'm done. I hate it.
It goes up and down for me. Where the first 5 seasons where they have flashbacks are really good, but then they start doing flash forwards, and it's like
I
it
fell
falls
off
apart a little
after
bit.
season 5 when
Yeah.
Felicity starts being a bitch and like
Yeah.
Yeah, and
then
it's
she
out of
almost
nowhere.
dies,
like,
but not
there's
really. Yeah,
no character development after that.
Yeah.
It's just like
Felicity
that's
was
where it
an
rough for
awesome
me.
character.
yeah, she's so hot.
Do you guys watch Black Lightning yet?
I did not.
No.
That's like one of the best out of the DC. I held off on it for
Flash
so
has
long
been
just because
was fantastic until
Yeah,
I stopped watching Flash. I stopped watching all TV.
I love Flash because he's probably my favorite DC character. But for Black Lightning, that's actually like so underrated. No one talks about it. It's probably
Yeah.
their strongest show besides the Flash. Like it's
Wow.
very good. Actually,
I know they add him in the multiverse or what's it called?
Yeah, so now they're
Crisis,
on
whatever.
Earth One.
Yeah.
Yeah, Crisis on Infinite Earth.
All right, back to some video game stuff here. Call of Duty Warzone, I believe, is out now.
What is that?
So it's a standalone Call of Duty game,
And they're in a war
it's,
zone?
and it's free.
Yeah. Shoot guns.
It's a
free
It's going to
downloadable.
be pretty much Battle Royale, Call of Duty Battle Royale.
Okay.
Yeah.
So trying to cash in like
So
the
they're
Fortnite thing,
it's
kinda?
going to be a free game like Fortnite, and then here comes the microtransactions.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Let's just hope that it just stays with microtransactions are only skins.
That's the most
Because
disgusting
if
gaming
they
tactic
make it
of all
so
time.
like, I don't mind microtransactions. If they're like, hey, we like how Fortnite did it, like you can earn these points to get skins, but you could do it in game. But we've worked a deal out with Marvel, and if you want a Spider-Man skin, it's going to cost you $3.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't mind microtransactions on free games if you're all like. Here's the thing with Fortnite:
If you're able to
love
actually
it,
get
hate
them
it, love it,
while
leave it,
playing.
however you think of Fortnite. They put out a free game and made more money than a game if they would have charged $60, and they're constantly changing it, updating it, adding new styles, adding new games. It's not that they made it and forgot about it.
It's like a labor of love.
Yes, exactly. So I don't. If it's same like a mobile game. If I'm playing a mobile game on my phone and it legit looks like they are into it and they're playing it and there's cool stuff, I'll throw it a couple bucks.
Well, that's
if
why.
it's free.
That's why I'm sort of anti though, because I feel like gaming works on like visual science. Like there's real visual science behind getting addicted to a game. Same thing with like slot machines, for example. Slot machines for gamblers, to stay away from them. They're cancer. But if you're
I'm talking microtransactions, not loot boxes.
No, we're going
loot boxes. I'm not a fan of.
No, I'm going to microtransactions. But the analogy I'm making though is like, so the average everyday person that gambles for a living knows to stay away from a slot machine, but everybody else will go into a casino, see a slot machine, be like, all right, this is a penny slot, and they'll just keep feeding it, and they don't know that they're literally your lowest chance to win in a casino, so you're getting almost nothing in return, and it's visually getting you hooked. So like you're just feeding it money all the time. And with like microtransaction games, I think that just happens too much, unfortunately. I've talked about the golf game that on my cell phone that I'm pretty good at, and they're pretty good about not having microtransactions, but there's definitely people that are like just addicted, just feeding it money all the time.
I like if you have microtransactions, if it's just a visual skin, I don't mind. If it changes the fact that you become good at the game because you put $100 into it, not like that. I don't like pay to win.
That's
that
exactly
Star Wars
and
game.
I'm talking about pay to win.
And I don't like if you make skins and you say, hey, here's the skins, here's the full list of skins that you can put in the game. Or maybe like an extra character. Like, so if you make a free game and you're like, we have 5 extra characters. You want those 5 extra characters? You have to pay for those characters.
Yeah.
Everything else is free.
Yeah.
Don't mind that because it then it equals out to $60 that you would have paid anyway for the game. Don't mind that at all. But now if you're saying, hey, do you want this skin? You have to then pay your real money for a box.
Oh yeah, you might get
a random chance, like how EA did.
That's where I was going.
Yeah,
Battlefront, wasn't
EA
it?
did with Battlefront 2.
That was terrible.
And people. And they figured it out that a guy you couldn't have bought the game day one, never played it, and dropped money into it and got a Darth Vader. The game still locked Darth Vader to you. You had to play so many hours of the game to still get Darth Vader. And they don't tell you that, like, so they're still cheating you out of your money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's not cool.
Well, that's where I was actually going with the gambling analogy because I know there was this Twitch for a long time that this guy would stream himself opening boxes for some game that he would get weapons or whatever, and it was like a scam where he was sponsored by one of these companies that sold the boxes, and they would give him a higher win probability because they just changed this probability. So he was constantly winning cool shit, and they're getting people addicted to maybe I could win that cool shit, and they're just feeding it money. They actually the guy went to jail or whatever.
Yeah, like same with like if you
scam.
when you play, like everyone's like, oh, you like Madden? I was like, love Madden. Do you like FIFA? Big fan of FIFA, but I don't play the Ultimate Teams where you have to pay your real money to get teams, and then your teams are pretty much based on your teams are based on if you pay money.
That's I hate that stuff. Like the Justice was like that, but it was all free in game, so you would get your loot boxes, but they were in game, so you get everything in game.
Yep.
Yeah, I lost myself a little bit in my point, but that's where I was going. Because in my golf game, you can buy like scratch offs, they call them, to try to win coins. It's like, what are you doing? Like this is literally just gambling with nothing in return.
And then speaking of Madden and NFL, 2K is back in the race. So
2K, like the company?
Yes.
Wow.
So they haven't had a 2K NFL video game When I say NFL, they have made football games since then, but they weren't NFL licensed. So 2K is back in the race.
What the hell did they do? College game? No,
it was called like All Pro Football, and they would get like
get
like legends and like John Elway plays against Joe Montana, and you're playing the New York City
Giants.
Like New York City Thundercats versus the LA. Yeah, they're all fake. Yeah.
Oh, fake.
Well, actually, on that. Sorry, go ahead.
So anyway, 2K has now acquired the license to make NFL games again, but there is some fine print on that article. They are not allowed to make simulation football games. So there's still no competition for Madden. So pretty much what you're going to see 2K do is they're going to make probably like the NFL Streets and stuff like that. They're going to be like,
was the shit.
Yeah, they'll make like a Blitz game again, which I'm excited for. But I still think it's bullshit that
that was a claim.
Madden's best year was 2005 when they had to compete against 2K.
Oh, really?
Madden came out with Madden 2K5, and it was a $60 game, and 2K came out with their last game and that's when they Madden swiped the license.
Yeah,
because EA Sports made it was ESPN 2K5, and it was a $20 game brand new.
Wow!
And it was just as good, if not better, than Madden.
Yeah, so what do we buy that?
Yep, and it was the last one ever made, and it was like the holy grail of football games.
How about that?
Yeah, where I was going with that, when you were saying about this with the licensing, I don't know if you guys covered it, but earlier this year, California ruled a great ruling where the NCAA now has to pay players to profit off their name, and
which they should.
Exactly. So, so they're thinking that EA can come back with the college games and actually have their numbers on it and let the athletes make money, especially like all the other sports. I think they should definitely have to pay them too. Like Duke and UNC, that game will make more than most NBA games that are on that night.
Yeah.
But especially football, when you're just bashing in your brains. I mean, that kid from Penn State that got like paralyzed, and they dropped him from a scholarship or whatever, but then they re-added him back to it. It's like they're bashing their brains in, and you can't give them. They can't make money off their own name. Like that's insanity. So California just passed that ruling. They're negotiating with the NCAA, but they're trying to make a way.
I personally think they should take it one step further. I think academic scholarships and scholarships should be separated, because I think if you're very, very smart in school and you have the opportunity to go to a better school, you should be awarded that. But what happens is there and this is not me crying that I think athletes get more of an opportunity than other people, but I think they should just separate, because a school only has so much money to give in academic scholarships, and then what they do is they just make that a tax write-off and they get their money back anyway. So what they do is they're like, okay, we have, say, just for example, they have 100 scholarships. We'll do 75 academic scholarships, and we'll do 25 normal academic.
Yeah.
So I'm an amazing football player, but you're a 4.0 all through high school. And my grades were horrible, and you worked your ass off to be an academic scholar.
You get it.
I'm getting a scholarship, and then you have to you'll get like a quarter scholarship, and then have to pay for the rest.
The problem with that, though, with separating them, we need to find a better system. I agree with you, but the problem with separating them is there's still going to be corruption. There's going to be like a football player named Dave that can't spell his name, and they're like, oh, he's a 4.0 valedictorian.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Majoring in basketball.
Welcome to the SC.
When they interview some of them guys in NFL or NBA, and you're like, there's no way you went through college.
And a lot of those are Southern schools. Alabama, Miami, Florida.
It's like there's absolutely, it's like the way they talk.
USC.
It's like, you sound like you can barely speak.
Yeah, it's rough. That's the only problem with that. But they do need to rework it somehow. But the first things first is they need to be able to make money off their names. It's so crazy what they do to them.
There wasn't any college games for a while though, right? A couple years now.
They're out for. They haven't made a college game since 2013.
I don't know the year, but it's because the players sued them though. Because it's like
20 teens.
They're literally they're their exact school, their exact likeness, their
height, weight, number.
Exactly. Their whole likeness.
And then what a guy would do is, sorry to cut you off, a guy would go on, there was guys who would go on the internet and literally just take time out of the day, like get like a team of like 300 people, and they would go on the internet and say, you get these 10 teams, I'll get these 10 teams, write all the names in, combine all their save files, go online and say, download, because the way it used to work in NCAA would be like, if I add you and you make a roster, I can go and you can share your roster file.
Oh, okay.
So there was that one thing that everyone added. They added this one profile. they would throw him like $1 or $2 on PayPal, and they would download his roster, and then literally when they turned their game on, it was
you could name the players. That's what the law. So you could name them. They had their number. They had their likeness. So it's just the way they skirted
it. It's a
it.
free for all customized football.
And all you had to do was change the name.
There you go.
Yeah,
it was so in detail that like some players would even tell you where their high school was.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
Yeah. How about that?
Like from
crazy.
Yeah.
The best thing that ever covers what the NCAA does is the South Park episode where Cartman's
how do you get your slaves for free?
I just watched that one.
Oh my god, it's
funny.
They're not slaves; they're athletes.
Yeah,
we all know, sir. Last 2 bits of news here. Reggie Fils left Nintendo.
Was that the president?
Yeah, left Nintendo. And now he's on chairman of the board of GameStop.
Bad idea.
That sounds like a bad move.
Yeah,
bad idea.
He's like, hey, Phil, you want to help bail water out of this sinking ship?
Yeah.
Sure, I'll join the team.
That's
man.
How about Spawn in Mortal Kombat? Did you watch that video? It looks awesome.
Yeah, Spawn in Mortal Kombat.
He has 3 outfits. The classic one looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And Illumination's going to be making the Mario movie. Apparently, there's going to be a new.
That's a weird cycle.
That'd be awesome.
Sorry, I wanted to sneak that one in.
Now, a lot of people are speculating that possibly Spawn might be working out something with Image and DC because Mortal Kombat has a very good tight hold with DC.
Yeah, but it's the only thing. A lot of Image characters aren't superheroes. Like they had that in the 90s, and they kind of moved away from that to have like supernatural characters and more like grounded. So like obviously you're not going to fight Scorpion versus a detective from New York. You know, like but what doesn't work.
Yeah, what could be
Constantine and Spawn comic would be fantastic.
What could be
really good.
What could be cool for that though is like DC. The one mistake that Marvel made was selling off all their characters too early. Like DC still has most of them. So I get it, but they sold off their biggest properties first. But I mean that's all anyone wanted, so you can't really blame them. But
there's a bunch of Image superheroes, but like they're not so popular, so it's kind of like.
Well, didn't Robert Kirkman make a superhero comic?
Yeah,
at the same time he was making.
Yeah, it was really good. I read the first couple. I think I read like issue 12 or so. It ran for like 100 and some issues.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it ran for like or something like that.
Yeah, it's a really there's very limited.
Basically, the
run,
guys.
I think
the guy's dad was basically Superman, and then he started getting powers. So it's like him growing up trying to
be his dad.
Yeah.
And then the last bit of news, I'm going to fuck up this name. Mariko Tamaki takes over as Wonder Woman.
So it's Mariko Tamaki.
Thank you.
Yes.
And he's my go-to for those Japanese. And
I believe I met her at a con, and I had her sign an X-23 book. She wrote that, and she wrote the She-Hulk.
And she's taken over as Wonder Woman.
Yeah, well, as the head writer. Yeah.
Are they going to reboot Wonder Woman?
No. DC's doing nothing where they put the legacy number back, so it's instead of being like issue 89, it's now back to 750, which would be the grand total of all her issues over. But they try and work that.
Yeah, it would be a huge mistake to take Gal Gadot out. I don't think they would ever do
it's
that.
not the movie. Yeah, so this is just the
comics.
But it should be pretty good. She's a good writer, so
Wonder Woman's comic she's a good great character. So
it's weird how DC has they kind of put all their people on Batman. It's like you have Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, they have Justice League, and sometimes they put shitty writers on them books. Like, shouldn't those be your top 4 books?
Yeah,
you would think.
Yeah, your Trinity book should be your high.
Yeah, like Superman has Michael Bendis, so Brian Michael Bendis, so he's like a big writer, so okay. And it's like Batman has was it Jim Tynion IV? It was up there.
Wasn't it Jeff Johns for a while? And then
Jeff Johns was on Green Lantern. Now he's like a DC big shot.
Yeah,
and he was on Justice League too. But now Justice League has
didn't Jeff Johns start with the Batman Rebirth, and then they gave him
it was Flash Rebirth. Then he did Green Lantern Rebirth.
Yeah,
and Jeff Johns
never
was on Batman. He might have wrote a Batman story here and there, but he's never on the book proper. What's his name? Tom King was just on. Scott Snyder had his big run, so it's weird how they.
Snyder?
Yeah,
I mean Scott Steiner.
Yeah, it sounds like it. That's what the one podcast who say they got. You're gonna get your picture taken with Scott Steiner. It's like no, Scott Snyder. It's like what?
We had in our wrestling group chat. Scott Steiner had a little bit of a heart issue. He died for a couple minutes. And I was like, he's a genetic freak, so he has 23 2/3 chance
of kicking out,
pulling out. But
apparently he's all right. They said, so
good.
Yeah, I'm sure
he flexed his heart muscles to revive himself.
I'm sure he's treated his body amazingly.
Oh yeah, he never did anything like steroids.
Yeah, he's a genetic freak. aka steroids.
Those fucking peaks on those biceps, man. That's like fucking adding like a golf.
It was
like
just like at the
a
end of
tennis
his
ball.
like when him
wow.
and Rick were still tagging up, like, he just got so super huge. Like, what happened?
Rick's like, I can't be your partner
Yeah.
anymore, bro.
Yeah, he
Actually,
just goes to the gym a lot.
That's going to be our topic this week.
Scott Steiner.
It switched. It's going to be the Steiner Bros.
Whoa.
Oh,
there
okay,
you
that's
go.
cool.
Yeah. That's gonna be cool.
And Jack is doing it.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Pretty excited about it. All right. We'll start with our guest tonight. We're going to go into our next little spot here where we talk about what we're into, what we're playing, reading,
Watching whatever.
watching. So what's that? What are you into right now?
Okay, so I'm currently playing the Fallen Order Jedi game on the PlayStation. I'm about to beat that pretty soon. I really like it. It's a great game. Probably one of the best Star Wars games I have played in a very long time. Just in time to get ready for the new Animal Crossing game coming out. Anybody else excited about Animal Crossing? I know.
Yeah. This is going to be my first Animal Crossing game I play
Ever.
Oh, you never
Oh,
played
you're
it?
gonna love it. You're gonna absolutely love it.
It was
Just
a game.
wait.
It was a game that I had to watch my mom play because if I fucked up her save file, she would lose her shit. So it was like that was like her game.
I can understand why she'd be upset.
But I'm into those style of games where you have to build and do tasks and stuff. So
Oh, you're gonna love it, and you're gonna want to buy every single other Animal Crossing game, ever made.
There's some kind of game like that I got addicted to for a little bit because like one of the free promotions in this golf game I play was to play this game, and it's like you're on an island and you're building up the island or whatever for gold coins. It's actually pretty good.
Oh,
that
sounds
sounds
fun.
very similar to what this new Animal Crossing is.
It is. It's very much along like the Farmville Animal.
Do you remember
Crossing
the game
type-
that was on Facebook? It was called like Cityville, and you
Yes.
built a city.
Oh, remember that farm like
Never
crops?
played it.
People are so
not,
big in that.
not the farmer one. It was well, you could still farm to make money, but
Yeah.
it was a city game. You built your own city.
Oh, I know.
Well, they're all just
I never played any of
piggybacking
those.
off Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
a pretty good game.
I love those simulation build 'ems, kind of create a world type things. So, now for the Star Wars game,
Yes.
what did you think of the difficulty level?
Well, I talked to Andy before I played it, and he told me to play it on easy, so I played it on easy.
It is. There's just some parts that are hard on easy.
Yeah.
On normal, I was like, this
Yes.
is not falling off the wall and stuff, and I was like, oh, this is too hard.
Yeah, like the wall jumping's hard to get used to.
Yeah, because you have to push the button twice. Like
Yeah.
you push it
Yes.
and then push to hang on. Why do I need to push? No other game does that.
I know, that's so weird. And I think the bosses are pretty hard, I have to say, like the Ninth Sister, the Second Sister.
Did you
They're
fight the
pretty-
big monstrous one yet?
The Ninth
double
Sister?
blade? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I only had to fight her once, which was pretty
Yeah.
shocking because I felt the Second Sister was harder the first time around, but the Ninth Sister, I was able to beat her one time, so that was pretty
Did
surprising.
you get the other girl, the witch girl yet?
No,
To join your crew? You said that without spoiling too much.
Yeah.
I don't. You know me. I don't care
you know
about
the you know
spoilers,
the
yeah.
witch girl from, on Korban, not Korban.
Dathomir.
Yeah, Dathomir. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw her a little bit when because I talked to Andy a lot about this game. So you told me to go get the double lightsabers.
Yeah, if you go to this planet, they don't tell you. They tell you to go to another planet, but if you go to this one, you can get a double lightsaber like at the beginning of the game.
and that's exactly what I
Yeah.
did because I'm. Darth
Why wouldn't you
Maul
want the
styling
double?
it
You
up.
could switch back and forth.
Yeah.
You could, but I don't.
Yeah.
Double blading it up the entire time.
Where in the universe is this story?
Oh, it's after the Clone Wars.
Okay, I'm not huge into like the Star Wars.
Yeah. So Darth Vader is alive in this,
Yeah.
Okay.
and it's I forget that it's kind of all new planets.
So where the story takes for me, I've watched the Star Wars cinematic universe. Never watched any of the animated series like the Clone
Yeah, I
Wars.
heard it's good. I never
I
watched
don't
either.
know any of
of it.
that story.
I've never seen any of it. I've never seen a movie.
Wow.
I've never seen
Oh, you have to get on that.
That's why we were talking. I was like talking
to
about
get
beer.
it.
I'm like Star Wars. Let's talk about beer.
Yeah. So,
Watch it now.
Very
go home
soon.
and watch it.
Yeah, very soon. We're probably going to add a 6 microphone, probably for an episode like this, where it's not Steve's week, Steve and Mark's week. We'll probably do it one of these weeks, one of the weeks now where Andy Hare is going to join us.
Okay.
And he's going to do like the whole rundown.
Star Wars,
he
yeah.
wants to do the rundown of Star Wars.
Yeah, so you don't have to do everything because that's insane. But I was
Yeah.
like, just do the movies.
Yeah.
Just do general.
I'll be here for that episode, but I'll be in a sleeping bag in the corner.
I don't know what's going
Oh,
on.
you're
Or
gonna
even
really
if-
like it.
I love
Star Wars is
sci-fi to
amazing.
death.
Yeah.
You
But
would like this.
I don't know why. I'm just
Wow.
like I'm such
Or
a
if you
hipster
wanna-
about Star Wars.
I've
I
never
love
seen a Harry
sci-fi.
Potter movie.
Yeah.
Or if you want to
Good for
graciously,
Andy.
if you want to graciously give your seat up one week, you could do that too.
For what?
For Andy to do the Star Wars.
Let him do it the week I'm not here.
Well, that's the week that we have 2 other guys on the show,
All right, that's fine.
and we'll figure something out.
We'll figure it
Anyways, Fallen Order is really good.
It's amazing.
Are you a Shameless fan?
No, but I watch that with Mark
Okay.
From time to time, and I'd say it's pretty good. I typically watch like more of like the sci-fi, the fantasy, comic book stuff, all that kind of thing. I don't typically watch like real life things. The only real life things I watch is The Office, over and over again, probably 5,000 times.
It's the best show ever. Yeah.
It really is. Real life stuff I don't typically. I also like Parks and Rec. I like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So it's really like sci-fi or comedy, and that's
Yeah.
pretty. That's
Have
pretty
you? I talked about 2 sci-fi movies on the last one. Did you see I Am Mother yet?
No,
Did you see Freaks yet?
no, but I'd be willing to watch
So
them.
Good, both of them. Both of them are so good. Emil Hirsch is the father in Freaks. He plays like what's an overprotective dad, but then you find out maybe there's something to his overprotectiveness, and it turns into it's kind of like a blend between sci-fi and superpower kind of thing. It's like it's very good. It's like pure sci-fi. Like you can't classify it as anything else. And then the same with I Am Mother. It's a girl raised in post-apocalyptic times by a female robot that she calls mother or whatever.
That's interesting.
That one's also really good. And then what's her face, $1 Million Baby, plays another character in that one. So.
I like how someone gets typed in their one movie they did.
Well, yeah.
You know, did you see Quiet Thing? It's Jim from The Office.
I just always forget her name.
Quiet.
That's why I call Jim
That
from The
movie's
Office
really
all the
good.
time.
That's-
I know everyone knows who we mean. Hey, Jim from The Office might
Exactly,
be Mr. Fantastic.
yeah. I'm
Oh,
sure
okay.
Hillary Swank, that's her name. I'm sure everyone
Oh
knew
yeah,
what I was
Hillary
talking
Swank.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, she plays a character in that. That's good. It's very good.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
that's
is
not,
absolutely
that's
my
not her, though.
genre.
Yeah, I was saying like Quiet Place.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, she's in it. Yeah, that movie's really good. The Quiet Place. Yeah.
Wait, you're saying she's not in $1 Million Baby?
Oh no, I'm
No.
not talking about Hillary Swank. I'm talking about
What's her name?
Hillary Swank not being in The Quiet Place.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no,
Where-
that's Emily Blunt.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't call her Emily Blunt. That's Jim from The Office's wife.
Yeah.
I hope they do
It's-
put them in Fantastic Four.
That's not
I
Pam.
love that.
They should
I thought they at least
Yeah.
put him.
They should.
Yeah,
Yeah, he'd be great.
He'd be a
as
good
Mr.
Reed Richards. Yeah.
Fantastic, yeah, but yeah, so that's what I typically watch, really. And
Yeah, I go on Netflix and it's like, hey, I need to find something new to watch for the show. And I'm looking through and I'm just like, I hear, bang, and I'm like, I'm not here. We're
Well,
doing this again.
Like I told you on that last episode, I'll literally, if I get into a movie mode, I'll just Google like best unknown sci-fi movies, and that's just I'll do a marathon and watch all of them.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's all. That's what my genre mainly came from my dad. My dad was a big Trekkie growing up. Yeah, so we all
Gene
got into
Roddenberry.
sci-fi.
Oh yeah, Roddenberry. Oh,
Rottenberry. That's the horror equivalent.
Why did that sound so creepy when you're like, hey, Gene Roddenberry, I'm touching myself under the table?
I'm not. No, I have my hands up there the whole time.
You don't even
Hey,
I like how you immediately went to
Yeah, I have
that.
a third
Like,
hand.
oh, my hands
Come
are
on.
here.
He's like, I have to
well,
defend
I'm literally
myself.
right here.
You're on camera. You're good.
Jesus.
What else are you into at the moment?
For what, video games?
Anything.
So I don't even know where to start. Like so many things.
Go for it. Go all in.
Go all in.
AEW
so
all in.
It's really hard for me to focus on so many things. So I absolutely love Star Wars. That's my favorite thing on this planet. For people who are just getting to know me, absolutely love Star Wars. My favorite thing. My other favorite thing, Supernatural. Has anybody ever watched Supernatural?
No, the one guy
That's
on the
on my
show,
list.
he's tough for me to get into.
Which one?
The guy with long hair or
is-
shaggy hair?
I might even be on the completely wrong show, but the one guy who looks like he had such bad plastic surgery and his eyebrows are like, that might be a different show.
I don't
Are you
know.
thinking like
me.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer with that one
hold
dude?
on. I
The guy
started
with the
watching
short
it.
hair?
I started watching it.
So-
Wait, no, Supernatural is the one dude from
Sam
Supernatural
Winston.
from Prison Break.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't do him.
Oh,
No, wait, no.
there's nobody from
That's
Prison
Captain
Break.
Cold.
Yes,
Yeah.
Captain
Yeah,
Cold
the
is
Captain
on.
Cold is not in
no,
Supernatural.
No, we have Jensen Ackles, we have Jared Padalecki, we have Misha
So I
Collins.
thought he was the dude from Prison Break.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
I can
no,
see
don't
that. I
insult
can see
him
that.
like
No,
that.
and
no.
that's what made me not watch the show.
Yeah.
Oh no, completely different. That's Jensen Ackles.
The Miz is an episode.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is actually.
Yeah,
As a
the
wrestling
dude, the dude
episode.
from Prison Break, and he talks like this all the time. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go in there and get my brother
Captain
out.
Cold.
It's like no one talks like that. Stop it.
Oh, the dude from
No, he-
Legends of Tomorrow?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I loved Prison Break. Though.
Leonard
That show was
Snart,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, so you can give it like a fair shot because
I'll give it
they're
a shot.
not the same
Yeah.
person.
There's only
at
15
all.
seasons.
Oh,
Something
yeah.
like that.
15, yeah, their 15th is the
Only
last,
15,
so I'll
yeah.
be going into a deep depression if you don't see me for a while.
That's a good run, though. For
It is
Yeah.
a good run. It really is.
Especially for like a sci-fi genre.
Yeah,
That's
and
a
hour
long time.
episodes.
Yeah.
Isn't Negan from The Walking Dead in there too?
It's the
Yeah.
Jeffrey
Jeffrey
D.
Dean
Morgan.
Morgan.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Jeffrey
Yes.
Dean Morgan. Yep.
That's on my list. That's probably going to go higher now.
Which one? Supernatural?
Yeah. I'll
It's
bump it up.
really good.
Isn't
It's
there a
funny.
Scooby-Doo cartoon episode too?
There is.
Yeah.
And it's very, very well done. Very
Like
well
like you're
done.
watching a real life episode, and then there's a cartoon episode.
Yep, it's perfect. They
That's nutty. I
mash
like
them. Nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
There's a bunch of guest stars and stuff.
I'm in the
Yes.
same boat as the name we won't say, because even though I spoiled it earlier, where
Yeah.
he said he doesn't get to watch too much TV.
Why?
Because you're watching it.
Because I watch TV or because I play
playing
video
games,
games.
yeah.
Yes.
So he's like, she's gonna come to the show this week so I can watch some TV.
Yes, he's catching up on wrestling currently.
okay.
I'm not really that bad. I'm really not. He's exaggerating a little.
Heidi, that's how when I watch stuff, it's what Heidi has on, and then I kind of watch that. So like I watched an episode of Archie the other day.
I heard it's pretty good. You mean Riverdale?
Riverdale.
Yeah.
Riverdale's amazing.
Riverdale.
I watched the episode where
I've never seen it, but I heard it's good.
I don't want
Oh,
to
it's
say
amazing.
it without.
You should totally watch
it's
it.
called How to Get Away with Murder.
Oh, okay.
That's all I'm gonna say.
It's not like Archie the comic. It's
No,
more,
it's
but
so
it's
dark.
not as far as Sabrina.
A
is.
character dies in the episode.
Yeah.
A major character.
Oh, okay.
And maybe another character killed him.
Oh my
Wait,
god.
in Riverdale.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
this
it's not
season.
Betty. It's not Veronica. It's not Archie. It's not Jughead. Really?
It's Jughead. No, it's
He
not.
turns into a werewolf.
No, he dies. He gets
Jughead.
murdered. He gets murdered.
No, he
Spoiler,
doesn't.
everyone.
I think that's a swerve.
I-
Good job,
Check
Tony.
that off
Fuck
my
you,
list.
man.
you can't kill Jughead totally.
He's dead.
Do you want some?
He
more?
can't be
He
dead.
was
dead.
killed by his girlfriend.
Jughead
By-
doesn't
by-
have a girlfriend. Oh yeah,
by
that show. He
Betty.
did. Yeah, I don't
He's
like
with
that show. They
Betty.
did.
The Blondie.
I like
Yeah,
in
he's
the
with
comics
Betty.
where he just
That's
loves food.
weird.
So
and he
Heidi
never dates.
Heidi's premise of it was she thinks it's Archie was told to write. He has to write a story or something.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Archie writing a story, but in the episode they don't really clarify that. So
Oh,
you
okay.
think it's real
Yeah.
life happening. So I guess they go to a part. I don't. Once again, I'm not a Riverdale fan. I haven't watched
It's
it.
amazing, yeah.
But Veronica, Archie, Betty, and Jughead go to a party. Veronica, the blondie.
Veronica's
No.
black haired.
No,
Yeah.
black-haired girl.
Betty has these blackout issues that she has where she blacks out.
Oh yeah, that just started.
And
Yeah.
she wakes up to her holding a rock and Jughead is dead.
Oh, wow.
Like she beat him to death with a rock.
Jesus.
So she's saying
Ah,
that
good job, Tony. We
Well, this
wanted
is-
to fucking watch it. Good
This
job.
is like the
man.
episode where Jason was like, okay, don't tell me any more about Don't Kill Cats. And you're like, yeah, no, that's cool. So the next scene.
well, no,
Yeah,
It
pretty
took
much.
4 seasons to get here, so you
yeah,
have like
but I don't
3
think it's
seasons
I don't
to
think it's a
go.
real episode. I think it's a
like a-
swerve.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
like,
Sabrina will come in then at the end.
Yeah.
and save him, resurrect him.
So the
I
whole
still gotta watch
time they're
that
trying to
So
Really?
everything that they're saying, Matt, that's not going to happen. It's going to happen, and we can't watch the show. That's what the whole
Watch it.
fucking
Here's
premise
the
of it
thing.
is.
I've never watched
the
a single.
build-up's real good.
Yeah, I've never watched a single episode of the show,
It's
and just
really
watching
good.
that episode, I would go
Yeah.
back and watch the other ones.
I get it.
I wish Archie's hair was more brighter red, though.
Yeah, it's like a real dark red.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess the whole time they're trying to figure out if she was set up or framed, and then Betty, and she's kind of like lose her mind a little bit.
Just a quick side note, like talk about Archie like really evolving over the years from like from like the 1940s, early 50s, and fricking going balls to the wall with like different genres. Like you have him paired up with the Punisher, the Predator, and then they're doing live action stuff.
Oh, the
and,
Archie
like,
horror,
doing
when
the
that
Archie horror.
Well, we
like,
talked last
And
week.
then
What
they
a-
made the
what a
comic
evol-
more like not as far as Riverdale, but more adult oriented. Like
Yeah.
the main Archie book. I read the first like 12 issues. Like, that's pretty good.
hey, did you know
and
that?
Vampironica, which
Yeah.
is a vampire.
Yep, that's good.
And did you know that they had like the first gay character, and
Yeah,
they
Kevin Keller.
elaborated
Yeah.
on their whole series then too? That's fucking amazing for Archie. For such a progressive
Started off as
series.
a Sunday strip.
Yeah,
I just-
go figure. Like,
Weren't they the first comic book to have that on their cover as well? The cover, the marriage, like the wedding.
Possibly,
I'm not sure.
yeah.
I feel like they.
I don't
were.
know that.
I know
too much
DC was the
about
first
that.
one banging heroin on the cover.
Oh yeah,
Oh
with
yeah,
Green
old
Arrow.
Neil Adams.
Yeah.
Neil Adams with Speedy.
Yeah,
There's a good reason why I called him Speedy.
Speedy's banging heroin on the cover, and Flash and Green Arrow like,
Oh, there's a whole like mini
Speedy's
series
doing
of that.
heroin.
I think that carried on for like 1 or 2 issues, like in a
Yeah, I have
continuing story.
I have the trade of it. where
Talk about Neil Adams
he gets
putting in
addicted
some
to
good
heroin.
work
It's like,
there.
oh my
Holy
God.
shit!
that reminded me of the very special like sitcom series. They're on a special episode of Family Matters. And, like I hated those.
Can
Like
you
I don't
imagine-
get serious. Just be funny.
Can you imagine Neil Adams being like having the task to be like DC's like, okay, Neil, you're gonna have Speedy shoot heroin on the cover. Like, wow.
just watching this video. I'm trying to find his name, but I can't really. But it's something like Exchantos or something like that. He was this Marvel character. New Rockstars just did a video of like times Marvel went too soon, and they had this super flamboyantly gay superhero, and like he gets AIDS from a vampire, an AIDS vampire monster.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
That's out there.
It's called Hemogoblin is
Oh,
the name of the
that's a
villain.
cool name.
And he like bites him against AIDS or whatever. But the guy's like, listen, darling, while he's like fighting the villain, he's like super
They had to
flamboyant.
come out in like
God.
mid 70s.
Marvel should just stick to what they're good at, and that's just ripping off DC
I
characters.
think it's the 80s because it was during the AIDS crisis. It was during the AIDS
God.
crisis they made this
How
character.
is that going to help anything?
Yeah, you gotta
That
watch.
did not help at
Yeah,
all.
new rock stars did Too Soon or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
That's
It's a video.
funny.
It's hilarious, man.
But if-
I was dying when they were describing it.
the Archie show, the girl who does play Veronica and Betty are very, very pretty.
Yes, they are.
They are.
Very pretty girls. I didn't see what Jughead looked like because I only seen the episode where they threw his hat in the fire.
Yeah,
you
Sabrina is
got-
also very cute. Also, she looks really young.
Yeah,
but
she
she's
looks-
not.
She
She's
looks 12, so I
I think
She's-
they're all in their early 20s.
She's like 21 in real life. I'm
Yeah.
like, she looks like she might be 14, but she's
Guys
really
do.
cute.
Yeah, I woke up to the episode where they threw all their clothes in the fire, and what's her name? They all go home like in their boxers.
Okay, yeah.
And they all go home like their bra and underwear.
Yeah.
And like she's like the blonde hair girl's like standing in the living room. I was just like, whoa,
Betty.
Yeah.
good for
Betty?
her.
Betty.
Yeah, it's good for her. Archie's like ripped up as fuck as too.
Of course, you gotta get the girls in.
He's
Have
got
something to look
abs
at.
up to his neck. He's boxing every episode,
Fucking
or every
Archie,
scene
man.
he's boxing and he's all sweaty. He's like, "Oh, mom." Is the one mom in the show? She's like a famous actress
Oh, she is. You mean in
Riverdale.
Yeah, she's from the 80s.
Is it not Molly Ringwald? Is it?
It is Molly
It is.
Ringwald.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Molly
Oh,
Ringwald.
she's Archie's mom, right?
Yeah, Archie's
That's cool. That's
And
cool
Archie's.
they did that.
Heidi told me Archie's dad was.
He's a big deal too. I can't think of his
he
name.
just died.
Right now. He
Luke
did.
Perry.
It was really
Luke
sad.
Perry.
Yeah,
Oh,
Luke
yeah,
Perry.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Jungle Boy's dad.
Yeah.
Hey Tony, just a side note. If you
Okay,
want
I
a little
see
bit
it.
of that, you're good.
Okay. Well, you guys go ahead.
It was-
I had two.
All right,
younglings.
go ahead, Matt.
It was called
he's on it.
X-Traino, was that gay superhero.
Train. I've never heard of him.
Yeah. So what? I'm sorry. We go. This is what we do. We go on a lot of sidetracks.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
So other things I'm watching right now, like I just finally got into Sherlock. That's really good. I'm really enjoying that. I like Game of Thrones a lot, Lord of the Rings a lot. Watch them over and over.
How pissed were you at season 8 of Game of Thrones?
Oh, extremely.
I am
I
so
lost my
mad.
mind.
It did go off the rails. It
I
really did.
really wish they would rewrite. First of all, they did two huge mistakes. First of all, the writing is bad. It's
It was
rushed.
horrible.
Oh, spoiler.
Not only is it bad and
never
it's
watched Game of
rushed,
Thrones.
they fucked themselves so bad by taking a year off.
Yeah.
If they don't take a year off and they put out the season 8, you could feel a little bit better about it. But you're waiting a full 2 years for the season to come out, and then they do this with like almost no character development. The way
Was
they
it
killed
really
Cersei.
that long?
Yeah.
It was.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it was a full year. Yeah,
Wow.
they took a full year off because like they were saying, like they were hyping it up too, which is the problem. They're like, production is so like intense. We're doing these 2-hour episodes. We need a full year to really do it, and everyone's getting all hyped up about it. And then it's just fucking. You want justice for Cersei? She fucking dies in the stupidest way ever. Jamie Lannister dies in the stupidest way ever.
Yeah.
It's all. It's so bad.
It's almost like they did 7 and they were like, we don't have 8 done. And
And
they
I-
took a year off like,
yeah.
we still don't have it done.
yeah.
Get over.
What do we
get it over
do?
with
So
now.
bad.
Yeah.
Just get it over with.
I like that. What's her name had the killing blow on the Night King.
Oh,
Arya.
See that? Yeah, that's
like the one good thing.
That part, and they set that up for multiple seasons when she was in like that multiple face cults,
Yeah.
and she's doing her sneaking and stalking. That was always set up, so
Yeah.
that part is good. But then it's like the Battle of the Night King itself is one episode. Like
that's it,
it's
yeah.
episode 1. You're talking about the Night
Yeah, I've seen
King,
that. It's
and then
crazy.
it's one fucking episode, and he
That
gets
was
stabbed
nutty.
by a dagger and explodes.
And-
It's
yeah,
like
'cause
what?
that's-
They fucked it up so bad.
Dude, if I got into a fist fight and someone did that to me,
Dude, there's
I'd
a
quit.
shot. Did you
I'd
see?
quit.
Did you watch the
I'd be
actual
done.
fight?
not yet.
That's nutty.
The fight's one of the best gender whatever people are talking about best women's fight. This is one of the top 5 best fights ever. No matter, I hate when people like best women's fight. It's amazing. It's an amazing fight, and that's called a hematoba. At one point, fucking Wei Li punches her right directly in the hematoba, and you see it. Yeah, you see it like go into her head
Yeah.
and pops out bigger. Like,
God.
it's so
Wow.
sick.
That's crazy. That poor girl.
Oh, that creeps me. Oh.
And how she's still standing, dude. She gets this shot in hematoma. She gets her nose shifted. She punched her in the face, and her nose shifts.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's
That happened to John
That's
Cena.
insane.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
sick.
good.
Like, however, dude, she's a fucking warrior
Did
for
she
still
win?
standing. No, Joanna lost.
Wow.
Yeah. But I mean,
Okay.
it's
Still,
that's
yeah.
one of those
It's a
fights where
brutal fight.
you legitimately don't care who won. I think if Joanna was the champion, she would have kept the belt, and I'm not upset about the other way
Yeah.
that it went. But how fucking a warrior, man, especially a 115-pound girl getting the shit beat out of her for 5 rounds.
Was that the
25
straw
minutes.
weight you're talking about?
Yeah, they're straw weights.
I kind of like
Yeah.
read up, glazed all over it.
One of the best fights ever, man. The striking, dude, they threw like hundreds of strikes at each other, literally hundreds. It's from the beginning to end.
Yeah.
They're punching or kicking each other. It's amazing. It's an amazing fight.
Yeah, Tony, we got to do the UFC fights again. I'm kind of in the chamber for that.
They're expensive.
And
if wrestling's going to make me start paying for them, I'm definitely.
It's the way you go about the UFC
Yeah.
buy, and it's so stupid, too.
It reminded me of
Yeah.
like one of my favorite fights ever. It was the Stephen Bonner Forrest Griffin fight.
I seen that one, yeah.
So much
the first
like
one,
that.
yeah. That was really good.
Yeah. All right, we're off track again.
Scientist.
Sorry, that was my fault.
Yeah, and then we're not even to the topic, which is going to be 4 hours. Buckle in, everyone.
It won't be that long.
I am not sleeping
I'll-
over tonight.
I'll dial you back. We'll say to be continued.
Yeah.
And
we
what's up
might
with-
have to do a part 2. We really might.
What are
have
you
to.
into right now, Andy?
So Sonic Forces is a free game for PS4 this month, even though I had it for Switch. Remember we played it that one day when it came out until like 2 in the
I remember
morning?
that.
Yeah. You make your own Sonic character.
Oh, wow.
yeah,
That's a really
yeah, and you
good
can still
one.
be Sonic, and you're classic Sonic and nowadays Sonic that talks. And there's different levels, so there'd be side scrolling when classic Sonic, and then like this, and then there's like different levels for nowadays Sonic. But it's really fun. So and it's free for PlayStation if you have PlayStation Plus. So download it.
Nice.
It's a little on the easy side, but it's really fun, and you get different outfits for your character.
That's awesome.
I'm still playing Super Lucky's Tale for Switch, which is really fun. And there's a wrestling themed world, and they're all
see
Yetis
that.
that wrestle. And then the spoilers for when you beat the world, they're like, maybe I wish there was a way that we wouldn't get hurt. Like, if we could somehow still wrestle, but not hurt each other. And the guy's like, yeah, like, almost like if we could, like, script it. And he's like, yeah, like, I know, sports entertainment. And he says it real loud. And there's, like, belts everywhere. The wrestling world is really fun.
That's awesome.
And then one guy's like, so... let me ask you, little fox, what is your name? And the other guy's like, it doesn't matter what your name is.
Oh my god!
And then there's the Macho Man character too.
Really?
So, yeah, in the background.
that sells me right there.
The game is really fun.
awesome.
It's Banjo Kazooie and Crash Bandicoot put together.
That's awesome.
Oh, cool.
So,
I love
and it's
Banjo-Kazooie.
like $30 for Switch. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah,
The Sonic movie wasn't anywhere near as bad as anyone
that's
described it. It's
yeah, I
actually
heard.
pretty
My
good.
friend took his daughter to see it and said it was pretty good.
I had
so.
a lot of people say it wasn't good. It was good.
Yeah,
They had
liked
that redesign. If that didn't go through, I think that would have been.
Well, my biggest complaint was all the people who cried that said it needed to be redesigned. Now, if you cry and say it needed to be redesigned and didn't go see the movie, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually thought they did the Sonic character itself justice. Some of the supporting stuff. It's a kids movie, but like Sonic himself, I thought they did pretty good justice too.
I heard Jim Carrey was fantastic as the villain.
Yeah, he's
Dr. Robotnik.
he's not who I'm talking. I'm talking about the other. There's another supporting character I didn't really like, but yeah, Jim Carrey. I mean, Jim Carrey's just born for roles like that, though. That's exactly what he's supposed to be.
I heard it was like he was like the old school Jim Carrey when he actually dived into the role of Dr. Robotnik / Eggman.
Yeah,
I mean, overacting.
Yeah, like
But
the
that's
crazy-
how he
But that's
is.
the
he was
character.
Riddler.
That's,
How he
that's what
always
the character
was.
is.
That's Jim
Yeah.
Carrey's acting style.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Yeah, he was just fucking zany, and I missed that.
You know
Jim
what's
Carrey.
hilarious? And I just found this out like on a TikTok video. So in Liar Liar.
Okay.
Yeah.
When at the very end of the airport scene when they're taking him away in the stretcher, while they're like doing a panoramic shot of his feet on the stretcher and they're looking at the crowd and like his kid and his ex-wife are there.
I think I know what you're saying.
He's dressed up as Fireman Bill in the scene.
Fire Marshal Bill,
So
yeah.
Fire Marshal Bill in the background doing Fire Marshal
That's
Bill.
pretty cool.
While his actual character is on the stretcher.
Yeah.
And no, it was something that wasn't even noticed for like 10 years after the movie came out.
Wow.
That's awesome.
They should put him in the Marvel universe as some character, some
good.
some whackball.
His
character.
horror movie was pretty decent, where he played like a crazy dude in 23.
Oh, I
It
didn't.
was awesome.
I don't like when people are like, oh, look at they're so wide range acting. No, I just want to see them do what they do. That's it.
It was good,
Oh, I
though.
totally disagree. Robin Williams in
I don't like that.
24-hour photo or whatever. That character is awesome. I love
Yeah.
Robin Williams.
Talk
He's a
about
great actor.
diversity with Robin Williams, like from comedian to serious roles. Holy shit.
That's what I said. Yeah, in Good Will Hunting, he's
I love
he's
that
amazing.
When I watched that, yeah, I really liked him in that movie.
he
Like
makes the whole movie basically.
he was very campy for me, at least. Like when I watched that, because I never really watched like the movies. And it's kind of one of those things like late night. Hey, I want to watch a movie, so I watched Good Will Hunting. I sat through the whole entire thing. It was just fascinating. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great movie, and then, like Patch Adams is like one of my favorite
that's a
movies as
classic.
kid.
That's a fucking classic right there.
All right. Sorry, guys.
Go to Ben's topic so I can pee.
Ben, what are you into right now?
Sorry.
Okay, so I watched Castlevania, the third season. It's about 10 episodes, at least 30,
on Netflix.
Roughly about 30 minutes. It's on Netflix. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty good. And you better not fucking plug that in. I'm actually gonna be really
Yeah. Hey, it's your opinion, so you could say the shit.
No, I'm fucking with him. I'm plugging in the phone because I always tell him I'm going to queue up the Oscar things. Where
Okay, yeah, play them off.
play them off.
But no joke, it's a good season. It's a little bit like going off of like a Citizen Kane type of perspective, because like you're going off of.
There's a dated reference.
Yes, it's dated in the sense of.
Citizen Kane came out in the 50s.
No, just different perspectives. Like first you're switching to Alucard, then you're switching to Trevor and Silva. Then you're going off
Silva
of
a girl.
Silva, yeah, she's the magic user.
What are we talking
speaker.
about?
Because
Castlevania.
Because you know how in
anime
3
series.
there's like Sifia or whatever. And
Yeah.
but then there's like the same character, but
Sifia,
one's a guy, one's a girl.
Yeah, and there's like multiple characters then too
Yeah.
that you can play as. But yeah, it's Trevor and. I think her name is Silva. Yeah, it is Silva. And then it goes to Hector and like the other female vampires,
Yeah.
and then it goes to Isaac then too, and like his it's
Why not Richter? Because he exists the same. Well, Alucard is more.
well, I'm taking it. You know, I'm seeing how it goes. But honestly, I ran through the whole season. It's all right. I liked
how
how
long
they
is an
did.
episode? For 30 minutes?
Roughly about 22 minutes is your shorter episodes. Sometimes they go to 32 minutes. So they add an extra 10. But it's all quality, though, if you ever watched like the first 2 seasons of Castlevania. So the 10 episodes really does itself justice. I liked it the way that like there were certain turns, like you kind of predict like certain things about certain characters that are interacting with each other, but at the same time, though, like it's, to me at least, it's kind of sort of like a filler for bigger things to happen. So like the 4th season when it comes around, yes, that's the only thing I'll really spoil on that. It's actually going to be it's going to be a larger, more, deeper cut when that comes out. So
Well, it has to be Richter and Maria, because that makes the
I'm
most
really
sense.
hoping that they do that too. Like, I think they're building up to that point.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact of the matter, you know what I mean? Like, how everything goes off. It's like some of it's unfinished. And, like, there's one part I legitimately did not like just because how everything went down. And you're like, oh, shit. And then, like, it's one of the main characters, but I'm not going to spoil.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it at that.
Wasn't Simon in the first season? Or no?
No, it was just
just
Trevor. Just Trevor, yeah.
So it's basically picking up from 3.
Yeah, because they told you the story in like from Dracula's perspective,
Yeah.
and then they added Trevor in there like to get him in there, and then they eased you in on 4. Then they did 8 episodes on the 2nd season, and now it's 10 episodes in the 3rd. So
So the 4th's going to be 12 episodes.
So you're working up 22 episodes overall,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's all quality though, from in my perspective.
I only watched the first episode. I really couldn't get into it. Of the season 1.
Yeah, and I mean it's definitely not a bad series by any means. Like maybe I know how you are, Andy, but maybe give it another shot. For real, it's actually some of the stuff is well worth it. They actually include some of the soundtracks and some of the
That's cool. Why not?
some of the enemies, like Bloody Tears in one of the battle scenes. Is like, oh fuck yeah! Like I'm thrilled
cool.
about that. Then I watched. I got into Stardust Crusaders and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. They're doing. I got through. There's 48 episodes. I'm at 45 left to go. The dubbed versions of it, I think they're pretty good. I'm liking it. I'm digging it. I'm watching it again. So you got me hooked there, Netflix. And then I tried again to the Pokemon movie Mewtwo, the Mewtwo one, Mewtwo Strikes Back. I'm liking how they translate the CGI into it. But the only thing is, like, they redid the actual Pokemon like theme song. I'm like a little bit more techno-y for my liking, but okay, I'll roll with it.
Should have made it straight metal.
Yeah. And there's only
Yeah.
and if you're wondering if all the same voice actors came back from the original one. There's only maybe like 3 or 4 that come back, but they're like, some of them are side characters. Spoiler alert, Pikachu is the same voice. Same voice from, so it's still going to be the same one, but everybody else is just updated from like 15 years ago.
That girl that does Ash?
Yeah, it's a totally different girl now, Misty and Brock. So if you're wondering, oh, is this going to hit you with nostalgia?
It's been so long, like
only the story,
I can't really
but
remember their voices. I remember Ash's, but Brock's, you can't get anyone to do Brock's voice.
Yeah,
I can remember their voices,
Yeah.
so I'd be disappointed, but that's okay. Yeah.
And then when I was playing then too, I actually tried the Final Fantasy VII demo. And I'm not going to lie, like Andy and I were talking at the gym, we're kind of arguing about different styles and what have you. I liked it for what it was worth. Like the updated visuals on it, like you could tell that they put a lot of time into the game. Very smooth. I mean, Eris?
Now, what's her name in that?
Well, that's what I'm...
So her name in America is Aris. In Japan,
Aerith.
it was Aerith. What is her name in this?
I'm thinking they're going to go off...
Or is she not in it?
Well, she is
Because
in it for a little... She's only in it for a little bit, like a cutscene.
But they just call her Flower Girl?
Just a flower girl. Like, you play as Cloud in the beginning. You start, like... you figure... Well, you get off the train, and then you just play it as, like...
Oh, okay.
You know, the first level, and they give you... They give very good tutorial levels then, too, with it. And I was, like, really surprised. I'm like, here's how you do this, and here's how you do that. I'm like, okay. And I was just playing through it. It's a fun game.
Does it have a release date yet?
Not that I know of.
think
I didn't get around to... I just played, like, up until I was with Barrett, and then I just stopped, because I'm just like, okay, well, I just wanted to get a little bit in just to get it. Just to get, dip my feet in the water.
I will get it, but I will not play the new combat. I'll play the classic combat. but I'm glad there's the choice.
They kind of made like a little bit of a beat 'em up in some aspects. Like it's kind of reminds you of like a Bayonetta or like
Devil May Cry.
Devil May Cry, definitely yes. But it kind of differentiates on its own, like, and it has like the little bit of like the Kingdom Hearts aspect of it then too. But you can switch out different characters and you can go in between.
Only play as Barrett and Tifa and Cloud? Or did you not even get Tifa?
I didn't even get around. I only just got to Cloud and Barrett, and that was the only thing.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't know the extent of the actual demo itself.
Yeah.
But I mean, I liked it just because I like just trying something different. And then like if I go through the game like classic combat, I'll definitely do that then as well. Or if I'm like, fuck it, I don't want to do this. I'm going to do this.
Play it through the old one because I have it downloaded on PlayStation. So
because like in a way, like how they do it now, you beat up your enemies, and then you build up like your gauge. And then you use different moves, like you hit the triangle button and it's like a slow-mo type of deal, and you're trying to figure out what's what, and then you can use those moves against the other enemies. And
that's weird. That's like totally different.
And then they also do like the materia, like they do certain, like you pick up the gil, the items. It's a totally different like way that they did it.
Yeah, which that was a really good system. So I'm like, don't change that because that was so good.
Yeah, I hope they don't.
And you can level up the
that.
materia and level up your magic and level up your skills and whatever. It's so good. And you can put them in your weapons and your items. Like,
yeah, that was really neat.
Yeah, like don't change it.
No, I don't want it. I don't want them to change that. But no, that's pretty much all I have.
What if they swerve everybody and Ares doesn't die? Spoiler alert for a game that's 20 years old.
Well, guess what? I never played it. So thank you, Andy, but I'm just joking.
It's a very sad moment. Well, it was 1997.
It was on my fucking list.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember? Like, I think somebody said on this show that Red 13's not going to be in it, and like we were super legitimately pissed over
you couldn't
it.
play with him because he's too far into the game. I'm like, what? That makes no sense. But then I forgot they're doing it in parts. So
yeah, that's what we concluded from that. But no, it's a fun game. It's a fun thing. I expect great things from it, and I think it's gonna be fun
if it ever comes out.
When it comes out.
Matt.
Yeah. Speaking of super pissed, I watched a few movies in the last few weeks in the genres that I like, which is sci-fi and horror, and I didn't have any that really stood out that I would totally recommend, but one pissed me off enough about it to rant. There was this, so it was a WWE feature, which it was called Oculus.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's one with no wrestlers in it.
And I fucking hated the ending. It was like, did you see it?
No.
That's not the one with the kid with the card
the
tricks,
mirrors and stuff.
So I'm going to completely spoil the movie because it fucking blows.
It's up and out for a couple
Not
years.
worth your time.
Actually, John Cena was in the movie. You just never seen him.
Yeah.
What?
But, I love that Ben falls for everything. Like when I said his hand was under the table, it's like, no, my hands are right here. And you're like, wait, what?
That's the shtick, right?
I love Ben. So the movie is essentially about a haunted mirror, and it makes the families paranoid or whatever. It's like the dad kills the mom in like a horrific way. He rips out all her teeth or whatever. And so it starts off as a young kid. They think that the kid is the one that killed his... They think the father killed the family and then he killed his father. So they send him away to a mental institution. They spend years convincing him that he did this, because he's saying, no, it was the supernatural force or whatever. Yeah. So while he's in... whatever, the mental hospital or whatever, his sister is concocting all this research about this mirror and all the places that it's been. And the actress is Karen Gillan, who plays Nebula.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
the
it's...
Doctor Who companion.
Mm-hmm.
It starts off like solid, but then it ends so bad, because she's like, I am documenting everything. There's cameras in the house. There's cameras on the mirror. I have this anchor that's going to smash the mirror in case we can't, because the mirror defends itself by making people hallucinate or whatever. And it starts off so much about her research and so much about we're going to document everything. And then it ends where the kid is tricked into hitting a buzzer, which the buzzer has to go off every 30 minutes. If it doesn't get hit, the anchor drops or whatever. Okay. He's tricked into not hitting the buzzer while she's standing in front of the mirror, and it kills her.
Oh god.
And then the police show up and they replay it, and they're like, yep, oh, he did it, he killed her. And there's hours of tapes of what was going on, and then they just end the movie with parallels of him being arrested as a kid and now as an adult, and how it's similar. And then it just shows like his family as ghosts in the windows.
Oh god.
And it fucking ends. They're like, yeah, he's definitely guilty. I watched this 30-second video of these hour-long tapes of everything that was going on inside of the house. The kid's fucking guilty. I was so physically mad by the end of this movie, because it's decent, right? Like, it's a decent movie.
Yep.
And then it ends so horribly. It is, don't ever watch it unless you want to get like
a bad
pissed.
ending can really ruin everything.
Yeah, like it was
Wow.
produced well.
Yes.
It was like if you walked out of the theater, you're gonna tell your friends, never see this piece of shit ever.
Yeah.
And there was so much production value. It was like a fairly decent folklore about the mirror and everything. Like it had so much potential, and then it ends fucking horribly. Even if they convinced even if they would have switched it to where the sister accidentally kills the brother, maybe you can think of, well, she was plotting to do it. That's how they can explain the paranormal stuff. If they just switched the character that dies at the end, they could tighten it up, wrap it up with a bow. But instead, they're like, "Oh no, brother definitely did it. Back to the insane asylum with him," and they just ignore it. Like, it's ridiculously stupid. It's such a bad ending.
I hate when you get into stuff like that. It fucking blows, because like you're so invested in a way, and then like they pull that bullshit,
right?
And it doesn't work. Why?
And it's literally, I can't stress enough how much she has audio recorders all over the house. She has cameras pointing at it. She has live computer monitor. She has anchored cameras on the wall, and the whole
like
thing,
literally everything,
everything
then
is
some.
Definitely recorded. And then the ending pins it on the brother, and they're like, "Oh, case closed. We got him, boys." And then they high five each other.
Who was this production by?
It was the WWE, WWE film.
Yeah, there's a big storyline.
Yeah, this is the same company who spent almost 2 years building a character to have him lose to a 52-year-old guy in 13 seconons.
That's terrible. I'm not gonna lie, like that was just terrible overall.
I was so mad. But then I've been watching.
See No Evil is good though. You should see part 2 and 1. Part 1.
I've seen both of them. It's been a while, but I've seen both of them. There's a lot of horror.
Part 1 takes place in the Blackwell Hotel.
Oh,
they're. I like the Silent Hill movies based off Centralia or whatever. They're pretty good movies. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm picky about horror. I think a lot of horror movies suck. Like there's the one, I forget what it's called, but it starts with a D. It was really popular, but I thought it really sucked. But
now, do you go into horror movies thinking this needs to scare me, and if it doesn't, it's horrible?
No, I just like sort of like a...
So I think horror movies get a bad rap. I think people go into them with the expectation, if this doesn't scare me, it's horrible.
No, because I have trouble getting invested in them from like a story perspective, so I like it when it's a good story, a semi-believable story, because I'm a complete skeptic. I don't believe in ghosts or anything like that. So if it's like a ghost
But you're
movie,
also a sci-fi fan.
Right, but
So you suspend disbelief for sci-fi, but you're critical on horror?
no, it's just that it has to be a good story to get me into it. If it's all like jump scares and a bad story, I'm just like, I think it's stupid. Like
Yeah.
the Paranormal Activities, I think found footage movies have potential, but it was so many jump scares that it's like didn't build the story.
It's a gimmick.
Yeah, I like a very specific genre of horror movies too, where it starts out that somebody's a skeptic and then they're realizing that maybe they're wrong just because like I'm a skeptic.
Yeah.
So that's where I can really invest myself into a story. There's a I can't remember what it's called, but there's a very good movie with a female skeptic gets hired to investigate this haunted house. It's a big actress too. It's Rose something.
McGowan?
Rose
McGowan?
McGowan.
No, that's not her.
Rosewood?
That's definitely not her name. It's definitely not Rose, but she's a big actress or whatever. I wouldn't even know how to start to search it, but it's a very good movie where she gets hired to investigate a mansion. I like stuff like that. That's why I like the show Evil, because there's like the skeptics and then there's the dude that he's a preacher that does hallucinogens to see God. Like that's a very good show. It's a CBS show. It just started this year. That's a good one. But I like stuff with skeptics or whatever. But yeah, it was just, I liked it from every aspect because she was a skeptic, but she believed it also, but she wanted to get like data compiled against this entity, and then it just ends.
Well, yeah,
so
because that's
horribly.
how a realistic approach would be. Like, not everyone's just like,
Exactly,
oh,
yeah.
it's a ghost. Let's all run away.
Right, exactly.
Everyone in the world's running away.
She wanted her mission was to prove that her father didn't kill her mother and that her brother didn't kill her dad.
Yeah.
So it's like she does everything right in the movie, and you're like, wow, what a badass! Like investigating all this shit,
Yeah.
and then it just fucking drops the bomb on
You're the
you.
guy who didn't run away and dies, and we're like, and he should have ran
Yeah.
away.
Think about it, you know, like, oh, Chucky. Everyone's just scared of Chucky. No one's ever going to fight back. That's why I have a lot of horror movies I can't stand. The
Yeah.
good guys are fucking idiots.
Yeah,
I can't stand that.
I have a lot of trouble getting into horror
Yeah.
movies. Like like if there was real ghost activity, like you're not going towards it. Like,
I just think
don't
it's
care who
funny.
you
And
are. Like, I'll check it out.
This is not a
but-
knock. I'm not picking on you, but it's just funny that you watch like an alien sci-fi. But like if it's a ghost, you're like, I have to be proved wrong.
Well, no, it's not like that because like sci-fi is not. Sci-fi also, you don't necessarily need to suspend disbelief because
Horror's like pro
sci-fi
wrestling.
is
You just got to
based
accept
on
what's put in front of you sometimes.
I can't. I definitely. I know you guys love wrestling. That's one thing. I unfortunately, after the Stone Cold era when I was a little kid, that was it for me.
Yeah.
But no, but a lot of sci-fi though. What's cool about sci-fi is it's sort of based on fringe science, or I like the fringe science stories or acquired power movies. I like stuff like that because like I don't know. I just horror. Like I said, I like it. It's just I'm a little tough on some of them. Some of the
You're not the only one. I think that's I think horror gets it the most. So horror and comedy were like, oh, because you go into it like, okay, this movie's trying to make me laugh or trying to make me scared, and I'm putting my guard up before I walk in.
Yeah. Speaking of comedies, I do have to give a shout out to one of the best. The Boys, or as I think it's called The Boys, but I could be wrong. It's not the same as the show.
The one where the little kids, it's all little
The
kids.
show's based
All
off the
little
comic.
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that called?
I don't remember what it's called, but they all like the trailers were really popular. It's like a Seth Rogen movie or something.
Yeah, it's like
the
three
Seth
kids.
Rogen
Yeah.
movie,
It is unbelievably hilarious. This
Yeah.
movie.
The good, is it the good kids?
Or Good
the
Boys.
Good
guys?
Boys. Good Boys, yeah.
Good Boys, that's
It's
what it
really
There we
good.
go.
Yeah, it is one of the funniest movies to be released in years. Yeah, it's definitely absolutely hilarious. I would definitely highly recommend that one. But and more people don't know about that one either. I'm always like, did you see The Good Boys or whatever? And they're like, no. And it is genuinely laugh out loud in most parts funny. Like it's really good.
And that's tough to forget a movie like that anymore.
Especially for me coming from like a comedy perspective.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of, it's not tough. I mean, I like comedy or whatever, but there are some that are so like corny or douchey or whatever.
And I always remember like Superbad coming out. Like I always remember like when everybody was packed in the movie theater, and certain people, like you had to be in the movie theater when you watch it because you heard one guy laugh over something so fucking stupid, then in the whole like wave of laughter comes out of the woodwork.
the
It's
funniest
so
stuff is
great.
contagious.
The funniest parts of Superbad to me was the dialogue.
Yeah,
It wasn't even the stuff that was like the fart and piss jokes. It was like the dialogue between them was funny.
Yeah,
But
no, it's definitely.
But yeah,
that's what it's
point being,
all on.
somebody catches that, and like you're saying, it's infectious where the whole theater comes too. It's like it gets somebody, and it gets everybody going, and then makes them sharp and
that's-
keen over that.
That's where the idea of a movie theater can definitely help make or break a movie for you as well, because if you're going in with your guard up and then you're sitting in a room full of 1,000 people and they all buy into it, you may subconsciously buy into the movie more as well, and because everyone else is laughing, you're like, oh, okay. Like, but if you watch it at home yourself, you're not fully invested, or this movie's here to make me laugh.
I'll tell you a movie that was absolutely the best movie going experience of my entire life, that if I had seen it, because I'm sort of like the wait and see or whatever, wait until somebody dumps the DVD, but the best movie that really gets you in a theater and you can't relive that experience ever again was Endgame. Seeing Endgame with my dad, that movie experience, just seeing it in the theater with everybody, like when Cap picks up the hammer or whatever, all those moments.
And then the most iconic moment, Avengers Assemble, boom.
Yeah, it's just like you literally...
Awesome. I was the only cold-hearted bastard in that movie theater when I watched it. We went to go see it together. I was like,
and you know what the funny thing is? I was
well, you haven't
the
seen all
one
the
that
movies
actually
either.
held
I seen all but two.
I held in my pee for that whole entire flick.
Yeah.
It was
We went
fucking
drinking before,
tough.
too.
For me, it was tough, but man, did I fucking do it. I'm like...
the whole time I was like, maybe if you guys took the last movie more fucking seriously, you wouldn't be in this predicament. Making fucking jokes the whole time when Thanos is trying to end the world. Take your shit seriously. Fucking idiots.
See, that's where I totally disagree with that.
Dumb
I
idiots.
love Thor Ragnarok. I think it's hilarious.
Oh, that's one of my favorites.
No, I'm talking about
All the
I'm talking about the
Marvels.
Infinity War, the Infinity like where the whole time they're like Thanos is like, yo,
Were
I'm
you just
coming.
going to say the Infinity Hops?
Yeah, the Infinity Gauntlet, where they're like the whole time they're like Thanos is like, yo, I'm coming and I'm gonna fuck yous up, and they're all like, ha ha ha.
See, I didn't think
This
there was
is
too
fun.
much. I didn't think there was too much in that.
He's coming. Yeah, and then he fucking
thought it was
came-
a nice
he,
balance.
he
Yeah,
comes
me
and
too.
snaps, and they're all like, "Oh my god, everyone's dead!" I'm like, he told you that in the last movie. Maybe you took it more seriously.
But you gotta-
and game planned a little bit. Shit would have went down the way it went down.
Well, Marvel has to live up to the PG-13 rating too. Like that's
You can make a PG-13 movie and actually make it serious.
when movies get too serious
When
for the
you're- when you're
superhero
going-
movies, I think it
when you're
comes
going-
off corny.
Yeah.
When you're going for the fucking little kid laugh every 5 minutes, it's just like the Civil War, the airplane scene where they're all like laughing and having a good time. I'm like,
Whatever, fancy.
Yeah,
in the airport where they're all fighting.
Oh, yeah, but that's an awesome
fantastic.
scene.
But
Yeah.
they're good guys fighting good guys.
Yeah, when Spidey takes his shield or
Of
whatever,
course, like,
and he introduces
yeah.
himself, it's hilarious.
A good guy
Yeah.
versus a good guy isn't
It's
gonna
hard
be,
for me to buy
it's
into
like
their
two good
Civil
wrestlers
War.
aren't going to be beating each other up as much as the good guy and the bad guy.
But I'm just saying from the comic book where they legit had beliefs on each side of their thing and they were willing to fight for that belief. And in the comic book, they're all
but
like,
There's still jokes and
high five.
They didn't really
each
have
other
that.
and-
Yeah, you
The,
can't have a whole serious movie overall because you have to
Yeah.
break that.
Then-
you have to break it
then
down a little bit.
don't name
Yeah,
it
I
Civil
think
War
that-
after your comic book.
I think this is going to be a
Name it
philosophical
Team
difference. I'll never
Captain, Team
convince them on.
Iron
Yeah.
Man.
But I couldn't disagree more.
and the movie kind of got to where they were at much faster than the comic did.
So if Batman
They
made a
did,
movie
yeah,
called The
so-
Dark Knight Returns, and,
Civil War
and
was
they
rushed.
they try to do the entire shot for shot of the comic book, but Batman's 13 years old, or he's a brand new year one Batman. That wouldn't bother you because you go in with they're putting it as
yeah,
the
I mean,
bill
it
of-
wasn't the same. So it was kind of this. It was kind of the same, but not as in depth as the comic.
Yeah,
I
it
just
wasn't
didn't-
as detailed.
I just didn't
They
buy into the
couldn't-
story.
They couldn't do that in like I don't know,
Right,
I don't know if
Be
they
like
should've.
10
you can't do that
10
for
hours.
hours. Yeah.
But I thought that was a very good movie.
I thought
I thought so, too.
my only issue with Civil War was I don't think they did enough development on how each character ended up on each side.
Yeah, they kind of
That
just
would
jumped
have
to
been
it.
good. Yeah, if we
Yeah.
saw more of
Probably
that.
because they didn't have time.
Right, and
Right.
and they didn't give Baron Zemo enough time. There's
Yeah.
a scene that just got released. I don't know if you saw it yet, but I have no idea why the scene got cut. Usually you can understand it, but Baron Zemo, how he got the book, they
Okay.
cut the scene out of the movie. But it's like he's at an underground black market auction. This is actually where I can sort of meet you in the middle, because if they included the scene, it's like a serious moment, but it's good. It's Baron Zemo's at an underground black market auction, and this guy confronts him and he's like, what are you doing here? And then all of a sudden people just start dropping around him. He drops some kind of gas in the room, he puts on a gas mask, all the people die, and then that's how he gets the book.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a great
Yeah.
scene.
Like for
I
me,
thought Baron Zemo was kind of a waste of a villain.
Right, they didn't
Yeah.
they didn't give him enough screen time. Like it's
Yeah.
just like they didn't give him anything other than him telling us his backstory. Like
Yeah.
they didn't give us nothing.
Yeah.
That was my
Black
only
Panther
issue
had a
with
legit
Civil
reason
War.
to be pissed in that movie.
He did.
Yep.
And
Except,
was a great introduction.
Except
They
I
didn't
think
joke
I
around
think
too
Killmonger won it fair and square, and he should have been the king. He beat
Yeah.
him in the combat. So I'm like, why? okay.
Killmonger.
I didn't feel bad for T'Challa.
I thought that was a
like,
great movie.
He won.
Yeah, Killmonger, I wish they kept around longer, but there's a theory that New Rockstars posted, which I like, that he may have been dumped out to sea, as they requested, and then was picked up in the ocean by Namor.
Okay.
And now,
Oh, okay.
I saw
Killmonger can
that.
come back.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I read he's not dead.
Because they got the rights to Namor now.
I would like that.
But the Civil War
because
thing that
his
pissed me
character's
off
so
is like
good.
all these people are they've chosen a side in this war, but they don't really explain why they've chosen. Like how he said, they didn't explain why they chose a side, and then like two best friends are like now like with Hawkeye and Black Scarlet are fighting each other,
Especially-
and I'm like, but the whole time they're fighting, they're like laughing at each other. I'm like, if you're willing to pick a side over one side or the other, and then it comes time to combat, and then
Yeah.
you're just like,
It was never that.
Well, here's the whole thing behind
tough
that,
going.
though, too, because there was a superhero registry that Tony Stark wanted to do, and then Captain America was like, "Fuck you, no way," and then Iron Man's like, "We should really do
But
this."
even-
like, that's like
where
they didn't
my
even dive
issue-
into that.
But even at
No, they didn't.
their most
thought they did.
disagreeing.
They talk about it, but it's,
Yeah.
It's not
the whole
like
purpose.
detailed.
The whole purpose of the team is Captain America's defending Bucky, saying that he was not the person that did that job because he was brainwashed, and some people were Team Captain, and the other guys were Team Iron Man, who were like,
Well, it's
no,
also
he's-
because of the Accords.
he's
You're
a-
missing the biggest part. Is
He's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
He should be in trouble, and that's pretty much what it came down to.
But the character they fucked up the most in that, which while I understand the side he picked, they didn't develop it enough, is definitely Iron Man, because it's like
Right.
you have this guy that's so against, in the first couple movies, so against the government. Now he wants to join up with the government because his mom made him sad or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I get they gave him PTSD in Iron Man 3, but Iron Man 3 to Civil War was such a big gap that you don't go into the movie thinking that that's not the character you go into the movie with, because he's in all these other movies in between them. So that's my problem with Civil War. I mean, I liked it overall, but I mean, Baron Zemo definitely could have been better. I'm happy he's going to be in the new series.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just went in with Civil War thinking, oh my god, I love this comic. I hope they translate it. And then I went in and I was like,
Yeah, I like how they introduced Spider-Man. That's one thing they did really good.
I didn't like the Spider. Hey, under Ruse, like I hate.
I just mean as a character. I like they didn't.
I hate you. Now we finally square
but
off, and I'm coming to get you.
Captain America and Iron Man never would have killed each other.
No,
Even at their most,
there's always
But I'm
a
trying to
mutual
put you in jail.
respect.
even
I'm
at their
trying to
biggest
capture you.
disagreement, they didn't hate each other.
No.
Yeah, there's a mutual respect.
they're just
the
trying to
whole time.
understand each other and a lot.
They beat the
in
garbage out of
combat.
each other at the end.
Yeah, but they never would
That's
have killed
Tony's
each other. They
fueled
never would
by-
have took it
yeah,
that far.
no. Fueled by
neither
emotion.
of those characters are murderers.
Yeah, because none of them were evil. See, they're good guys, and they had the disagreement. That's what the whole comic was about.
You have to push them to the envelope in order to.
and
actually
they were both pushed, but
that
they
raw-
both never would have killed each other,
Yeah.
and they both never would have like really.
I
hurt
think
each
that
other.
airport scene would have made more sense if somebody would have legit died. I think it would have put
No.
more of an impact on the
Well,
movie.
no, I mean,
Those
Rhodey getting
characters wouldn't kill each
paralyzed
other.
was
Yeah.
big enough. I mean, Rhodey getting
maybe
paralyzed.
get the real shit kicked out of them,
Yeah.
but other
he
than
fell
that,
from
like
the sky and got paralyzed for 15
What's
minutes.
another interesting thing about the new Rockstars thing is they dissect how the Easter eggs carry on movie to movie. So there's a scene in Avengers. It's probably it's Infinity War. So it's Infinity War.
grab you another
There's a scene where Spider-Man is being beamed up, where he's slung to Doctor Strange, and they're all being beamed up. And then Stark is going to fly him, and then super boosters appear out of his feet and shoot up.
Yeah.
What they do perfectly with New Rockstars is break down how he goes and learns from each mistake movie to movie that he made in the previous
yeah.
movie.
So his Iron Man
they
suit's
gave him
better.
this super. They
Which
gave
makes
him
sense,
this super booster because
Which
he
Iron
couldn't
Man
reach
should do.
Rhodey.
He's like
Yeah.
he learns from each.
That video is perfect. How they break down
That's
each,
pretty cool, yeah.
each suit and how it progressed from past mistakes.
And I think, too, we're missing Wolverine in Civil War because he's an Avenger, and I think he would be the darkest character in Civil War, but even still, he would not kill somebody. And
He wouldn't kill Iron Man. He wouldn't kill any of the good guys.
No.
No, I'm not saying they were there.
And
I'm
plus,
not saying
in
they
the
were to
comic
kill each
too-
other, but they were there for a fight.
In the comic,
Yeah.
they had the bad guys on teams too.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, and the problem too was they didn't have the rights for the X-Men during this.
Right,
Like,
which is
like
why he
House
wasn't there.
of M is
just
the
to me that
entire
the
reason it
airport
started.
scene got more laughs than it did. I should be upset that my friends are fighting each other.
Well,
I see what you're saying. I think to address what
I
you're
get it.
saying,
Totally
I think,
disagree.
yeah. So a lot of us like humor, and I think a lot of why they put this is just my opinion. They put the humor in is because a lot of people use humor to joke, like to cope.
Yeah,
and I
100%.
think they're probably coping with having to fight their best friends at this time because they used to be a team and now they can't be a team because of this philosophical difference that they're having. So that's probably why they're using the humor in this way.
Yeah.
And also, too, a lot of the characters that you're seeing, also, this is my opinion, but also you see it in the comics and things, in general, the way they're written, they are people who joke around a lot. Like, if you see Spidey, he's always cracking jokes. So that's his, like, character. So I think you're seeing a lot of characters, too, who are generally joking around and just used to doing that, so then you put them all together too, and they want to stay true to that core character as well as cope with having to fight their best friends in a terrible war because they all disagree with each other. So I think that, to address what you're saying, I understand what you're saying, but I think that's why they're joking around more than that, and they have to cope with fighting each other.
Yeah,
I think
the comics will take. They're joking and it's fine. I don't mind it there, but when the comic needs to snap its fingers and say you need to buy into the scene because it's emotional, it gets you. The Marvel movies just never, every time they try to snap that finger then to get me to fall into like I need to be emotionally invested in what's happening, the entire time like, well, you didn't take it serious the whole fucking time, now you want me to be emotionally invested? Like,
well, yeah, the problem is too is like there is definitely a problem in Marvel where they're trying to cater to all ages, so they
that
can't
is a struggle.
They can't make it completely deep. Where you would have liked it better and where I probably would have liked it better is if they saved Civil War for after they regained rights to mutants.
Yeah.
Because the reason Civil War starts in the comic is House of M, which is Scarlet Witch or whatever.
Yeah, no, mutants.
What was that team?
The X-Men, they have to
Speedball, the New Mutants.
The New Mutants.
Not New Mutants, New Warriors.
And
then
they
Speedball,
fight
they blow
and
up the kids in the bus.
They kill a
and
bunch
that's
of
the
kids.
whole thing why they want to but they
wow.
switched Sokovia because that didn't happen. They didn't have characters, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And one of the big things was Storm joins one side and T'Challa joins one side, and they're married, but they both weren't there. So
even the comics,
Black Panther was there.
Even the
Black
comics
Panther
kind of took a scapegoat when it came to this airport scene where they had, or the battle where they killed a fake Thor, like robot Thor.
Yeah.
So
the real Thor was missing. But
because they weren't going to legit hack a character. But
I doubt even if they had mutants, they would have gone the House of M storyline. But
no, because that's
it's deep with killing kids.
Yeah, there's a lot there to unpack.
But I can understand what you're saying from that perspective. But I still, I overall liked it. I like how they introduced Spider-Man to the universe as, first of all, younger, and we didn't get another origin story thrown in our face.
Yeah,
there's
two characters we don't
need
need any more origins for, and that's Batman and Spider-Man.
They completely.
100% agree
Andrew
on that.
Garfield gets a lot of shit for his Spider-Man. His Spider-Man was good. His Spider-Man was really good. Where they fucked up was they made the origin story almost the exact same story, and they just did it again.
Yeah, I've seen that already.
Yeah, and
I just don't like. I should never think that Aunt May is hot.
She was a little young in that.
She was really
it's
hot.
weird.
I love her.
I like that actress though.
And
Yeah,
Marissa, she's
Marissa Tomei.
fantastic, but when I think
great.
Aunt May,
Did you guys like wrestling? Did you ever see the movie The Wrestler?
Yeah, The Wrestler. She's a stripper
phenomenal.
in it.
Yeah, that's all I see when I see her.
All right, let me get through my real stuff quick because we're already an hour and a half in, and
Holy shit.
yeah, I'm going to be cutting you off, making it a two-parter.
This is probably gonna have to be 2 parts for sure.
Well, we'll start.
Yeah. So the only thing I did over the week, I didn't get to play or read or do much. It was a really busy weekend. Friday we had our beer show. Then I woke up Saturday to another beer show at McNiff's in Monty City. Left McNiff's and went to go to the Majestic Theater to see Clue. Fantastic job. Definitely go over and follow the Majestic Theater and keep an eye on the stuff they're doing. I know this Friday they are doing a screening of Ferris Bueller's Day Off in the theater. So if you want to see that in a theater experience, that's
was Clue only that weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was that weekend. It was 3 shows. It did really, really well. Production was fantastic. All the people on stage did a great job. I really, really enjoyed myself. And then we left Clue, and then we went. I actually had a band booked.
Man,
I forgot I did it. I forgot I had a band booked, and I forgot the date, and it all fell on the same day. So, got to hustle a little bit. But I went to go see the Contact Collective. It's my little brother's band, and they're I don't know exactly where they're out of. I should probably look that up. They're far. It's a drive for them to come. They're out. They're not a hop, skip, and a jump away, but they came and performed at Strikers. And it was awesome because they're an all-black band for the most part, except the bass player who's white, which I think is hilarious because he's a bad motherfucker on bass.
Hey.
He's the white dude
It
playing
says
the
Mount
bass.
Pocono, but I don't know if that's...
Yeah, that's up that way.
Oh, wow.
So they walk into the bar, and it's School County. It's Strikers.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, what the fuck is this going on? Like, there's 8 black people in the bar. That's strange. And they're the entertainment tonight. No one's ever seen that.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, well, they were kind of skeptical. Like, are we going to be into this music? and
because they're gonna think, "Oh, what's this rap?"
Exactly, rap and hip hop, R&B, and soul. They hit the stage, and the first song they play "Smells Like Teen Spirit" by Nirvana,
Wow.
and this girl belts it out.
Good for her.
Immediately hooked the band, the bar. The bar's like, what? Then they play Paramore, and they
That's
did
a little
like
sad though that they like got that stereotyped at first like that.
I mean, yeah, around here,
There's no
I
reason for
understand.
Well, what if a dude walked
Not
into a
nice.
bar with a cowboy hat on,
What's
and
a
then the first
cowboy
song,
hat?
like a cowboy hat, like
Oh, I
yeah.
thought it said camboy. I'm like, what's
No,
a camboy?
Like
Oh, I
if
got- I got- okay,
I'm a
yeah.
white dude with acoustic guitar and I walk into an all black
Yeah,
bar,
country
they're
guy.
going to be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, what's this?" And then I walk in, the first song I play is Biggie Juicy. It's going to catch people.
I
off
don't know what
guard.
Biggie Juicy is, but I know it's not.
But
a
I'm saying,
country
like,
song.
it's a hip hop song.
I'm more busting your balls. I get what you're saying, but
yeah,
it's sort of like
they broke
you know,
their stereotype. They immediately showed like, hey, like just because don't judge our book by our cover, check us out, and then by the end of the night, people were like, yo, they need to be back.
They should
again.
really play Cult of Personality because that was an all black band.
Yeah, yeah. But like they killed it, and everyone. I think they're and they got like 4 or 5 more shows booked that night. Like they're going to be in the area more, and that's
Oh, that's
exactly
cool. Good for them.
for them.
that was my goal there, and it worked. And then we went to Harrisburg the next day to Harris Family Brewing Company, and we recorded an episode with this area's first black-owned brewery. That's coming
Fun
out.
ass guys.
Yeah,
They're
really
awesome.
cool, dude. So that's coming out really soon. So keep on the rest of the page and check out Bangin' Beers. That's coming soon. Video doesn't look the greatest.
real?
It's just off-centered, and I could have turned the ISO up a little more, but I'm still learning my equipment.
It happens. Yeah.
But it sounds good, so you'll definitely get that out of it.
I really appreciate those guys. They were extremely fun.
Yeah.
Like I told you and Matt and Andy, like I laughed the whole entire. It was not a dull moment. I just had a good time overall.
They're fun,
It
good.
was like a good laugh. You know what I mean? Like to revive your spirit,
Yeah.
and then plow through Monday.
All right, so we're an hour and a half in. We're gonna try. I don't want to go super late because it's almost 11 o'clock, and I don't want to
Yeah.
keep everyone here late. So we're gonna start the topic of Howard Stern, and if need be, we can do a 2-part.
Just make it a multiple part.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's
Matt's
going to have to
on.
be 2-part. Yeah, I'm assuming it will.
So let's do
that'd be
the
nifty.
early years of Howard, and then we can Howard.
Yeah, basically, I'll just break down his history real quick, and then we can.
Besides
sorta-
me, Andy, and Matt here, are you a Howard Stern fan?
I listen to him from time to time, and I do think he's funny, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't listen to him that often. So I'll be getting to learn a lot
Cool.
about him today. Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually think that what I geared this more towards people that are first learning about him, because if you listen to the show, there's just no off limits about his life. He's covered it all.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
he's not
and I
afraid
think
to
a lot
talk.
of people have. Oh, that's just all about sex, and he's just talking about women.
exactly.
And it's
There's a
like,
lot more
no.
to it, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll get started here. So he was born Howard Allen Stern, born January 12th, 1954. His mom described it as it was a snowy night. It was back when men were not allowed in the labor room.
Wow.
So she originally wanted to call him Harvey because in the Jewish religion, you take the first initial and you
Yeah.
name the child after that initial.
Oh.
So his mom wanted to call him Harvey, but when his dad finally got into them, he was like, "No, it's Howard."
Good know her. Believe you me, Harvey is the name.
It was gonna be Harvey, but your father said it's gonna. No, I said it was gonna be. What? Who are you talking to?
So what's hilarious about this, for people that don't know listening, is he always imitates his parents on this like megaphone, so
Yeah.
it makes it sound like they're calling in. His
yeah.
megaphone's
That's
amazing.
funny.
I love
But,
that.
Yeah,
Who are you talking to?
But then his parents are really also on the show a whole bunch. But so what's interesting, just quickly about his parents, his mom suffered with depression, would always tell him about it. But his dad was also an audio engineer for several cartoons. Some of them were actually fairly popular. When he was born, they moved to Roosevelt, Long Island to get out of Franklin, I believe, because they only had a 2-bedroom apartment, so they moved to Roosevelt. Back then, it was coming off the times of segregation, so Roosevelt was still broken up in the sense that it was 1/3 Catholic, 1/3 Jewish, 1/3 black, but then it became split up in 4.
Oh.
To
Not bad.
where 1/4 started to become a mixed gentrified area.
Yeah.
So they moved into the gentrification area, and that led to Howard growing up being bullied. He was often called Whitey and beat up in high school.
Yeah, imagine Howard with all black people. He
Yeah.
talks about it awful lot.
And talks about it all
his
the time.
parents were
Still
very
talks about
all the neighborhoods were like, well, this is turning into a black neighborhood. We don't want to be here, and left. And Howard's parents were pretty much like, well, we're not those people, and we can all get along. And
Howard does an impression of his mom back from when he literally remembers the conversation of when she sat him down as a teenager, and she was like, these whiteys in this neighborhood are getting out because they're scared. We're not scared. The black man is your friend. She's like calling them whiteys and everything. So
and she took his temperature anally until he was 13.
Yeah. And she what's hilarious about his mom's name is Ray Stern. What is hilarious about Ray is she'll like acknowledge the fact that he was being bullied and beat up because he was white, but then she'll be like, he didn't have it that bad. Like, she always does that to him when she gets on air. Like, she'll agree with him, but then be like, it wasn't that bad.
That's my mom.
Believe you mean?
So they lived in a gentrified area, and a lot of people. So what I want to talk about quickly is a lot of people bust on him now because they call him quote unquote liberal.
Yeah.
Howard's been a liberal his literal entire life. He went to a black high school. He believed in equal rights.
Yeah.
He's always come from a liberal perspective. What they're talking about is they're more thinking he's getting into woke culture or whatever. But that's just, like, if you listen to him, it's not, of course there's some of it, but it's not as bad as everyone's making it out to be.
Yeah.
But that's skipping way too far ahead. But so his mom does admit though that he was often beat up. The one time he came home and he was beaten up, and they'd wrote on his skin with a pencil "honky."
Aw.
Imagine looking the way Howard does with a bunch of black people.
Yeah, Howard.
It had
By the
to
way,
be rough.
by the way, Howard Stern is 6'5" or 6'6". He was like,
and he was tall
very
when he was a kid, too,
but
and
very
lanky.
skinny. Yeah, he very skinny. So they would beat him up because he was so.
Had a large nose.
Yeah. Well, that was everyone always called him Pelican too, but that followed him his whole life. But where was that here? Okay, so he did end up making a small group of friends, which he still talks about on air. He has talked about throughout his radio career. He talks about this small group of friends. They always admitted that he liked attention, so that they were more his friends because he could take. His sister Helen also admitted that wherever he was, he needed attention, so they were his friends, so he could take the attention away. He was very attention seeking. But he knew as early as 5 that he wanted to be a radio broadcaster. So what happened was his father was this audio engineer. He would take him into the studio and record recordings that you can still hear to this day.
Proper modulation.
If you YouTube Howard Stern's father.
Yeah, Ben Stern.
Yeah, you can hear a 6-year-old Howard Stern being asked what he thinks about all these serious political questions.
Like, well, you wouldn't know anything at that age.
And he tries to give like a serious answer. And then like the Howard Stern that we know and love comes in, even at 6 years old. He's like, but then they don't want to do it because all the Japs come in and we go, bah! That recording is so hilarious. So he tries to be serious as a kid, but then he gets goofy, and his dad goes to him in one of the most iconic sound bites ever, goes, "Don't be stupid, you moron."
Yeah, don't be stupid, you moron. He still plays that to this day.
Yeah.
Shut up, you moron.
Yeah, no, the "shut up, sit down" is a different one where he screams down like this, he screams in a high pitched voice, "Shut up, sit down!" For when he's like 8 years old or whatever. So that's what we're gonna go so off the rails because all this stuff is on air. He is so open about his life, and I definitely admire that in a way.
Just a quick side note.
Hold on. This literally just broke. I'm sorry. E3 this year has been canceled.
Oh, because of coronavirus.
Oh my God, they're canceling everything.
Yeah, New Japan's taking March off.
Yeah.
When swine flu went around, I actually caught it.
Really?
So I'm
Wow.
like, I'm really surprised about this whole response. No one gave a shit about me when I caught swine flu.
Yeah,
Ironically enough, somebody
I've had a lot
in
of health
Schuylkill
issues.
County area actually caught it. And besides you, I know the person literally lives down the street.
I wasn't in. I was up in Wilkes-Barre, but that was back
wow.
when I traveled all the time for poker
yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
That's when I was first taken off, and I caught swine flu.
Wow.
But my side note question, was he an only child?
No, I mentioned his sister Helen.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, that's all right. She always, she's always not. I shouldn't say always. She's one of the less featured family members on the show.
He doesn't
She's
talk
also,
so much about her.
Well, but that's because she even admits during childhood that she was happy. She's 4 years older than Howard. She admits that her first memory, she remembers being happy that he was born because he would take the attention off her. She always felt like an introvert.
Yeah.
So, so that's really why you don't hear too much about her on the air or whatever, because she's legitimately like that. But his friends from the time describe his parents as funny but slightly scary and a little bit overbearing. They were more scared of his dad and overbearing being the mom. We mentioned the clips with his dad in the audio you can still hear, which is hilarious. He ended up going on to Boston University for communications. He met his first wife, Allison, there. That was in 1974. This is hilarious. He got his first radio show there, but he was fired on air during his first ever broadcast during a sketch which was called Godzilla Goes to Harlem. So you can still listen to, you can go on YouTube and find the audio recording. He's on the air. They're doing this bit, and the program director calls in and he goes, "Do you know who this is?" And he's like, "Who?" And they didn't believe him at first, but he's like, "You're fired. Get out of the studio." So they
it's funny. It's like that bit is probably the best thing that radio station had ever done.
Right,
it probably
exactly.
doesn't exist anymore.
And what's Boston University? This isn't in my notes, but I just know this. Boston University like disowns him. They don't.
Wow.
They're not proud of him. They didn't list him on his list of celebrities. So he sent up Stuttering John to Boston University to ask the dean why they don't acknowledge him and stuff. On this bunch of, it's amazing. He got his first radio show there. He was fired. His first job was after college then with a station called WRNW in 1975. It was a rock station in Briarcliff Manor, New York. His creativity was pretty much noticed immediately. He was sort of a program director, but also an on-air talent. But he came up with this idea of calling the owner of businesses and talking to them about their products. And it was, at the time, nobody thought like sponsors were just like a nameless, faceless person.
Yeah.
He would call up the sponsors and talk to them about their products. So that was essentially what he got noticed for pretty early. The management at the time described it as mind-blowing, as they'd never seen something like that. They thought the honest style brought more money to the sponsorships, which made them more money than they do.
Another thing he would do as well when he moved from city to city and he would work in a city.
Don't go there.
But I'm saying like
you're talking about the radio wars.
It goes into this why every time he was about to get in trouble or he was going to get fired, they're like, if you fire him, we're going to lose all of our sponsorships. He would physically go to local places, local restaurants, local things, and say, "Hey, I'm a disc jockey," and he would talk about your business. And not only he wouldn't just read a cold read and be like, "Hey, go down to this place."
Yeah.
Like he did it once in the movie. They talk about in the movie where he was like, "Oh, go down to this place. I used to go to this place when I was a kid, and it was a great place." And then he reads the rest of the ad, and he's like, "And this place is having its grand opening."
I was going to say you're half right.
But
yeah.
that from that moment on, he would actually go and he would immerse himself into local businesses, even though he was very introverted and would only stay in his house. But he knew how to get businesses to sponsor him making money.
As far as the introvert, that's one part you're semi wrong about. He was always an attention whore.
But he doesn't like being out in public.
No, he always did. Yeah, there's actually a part, it's not really in here, but he always was like, the way he won over his wife was like they were out in public and he started doing lines from a play and doing comedy in public to her. Like he was never introverted. He suffered with anxiety is probably what you're thinking about.
Anxiety,
yeah.
Nowadays he says he doesn't want to go out just because he likes to sit inside. But
right.
It's just more being
right because of who he is,
yeah.
which is But actually I know what you're thinking about. You're thinking about his mom would talk to him all the time about like the depression and like wanting to die, and he got anxiety from his mom because she would always be like, "You're going to catch every disease." So that's what you're thinking about. So but that's in so this is also hilarious. So while he was with Allison, to save money in 1977, he lived in a monastery. He was making $96 a week at his radio job. He wanted to save money because he was not making very much, so he moved into this monastery with a bunch of nuns and stuff like that. He would do literally hours of transcendental meditation, but none of them knew who he was, and when they eventually found out who he was, it kind of became a problem with him staying there. So he married Allison in 1978. Their marriage was long. I didn't write down exactly how long, but she was always a guest on his show too, as well, with his children that he had with her. But where we start to pick up where the real Howard Stern is in 1979. He applied to WCCC in Hartford. You can still hear his soundbite of WCCC.
Yeah, like WNBC.
That's the other one, but WCCC is a different one. So that was in Hartford, Connecticut. He sent out an audition tape to get that job, playing Robert Klein and Cheech and Chong records with fart noises overlaid into them. And he would add his own one-liners to them, and that's actually where he met Fred Eric Norris, whose real name is actually Fred Leo Nukas. He changed it because it sounds like mucus. Yeah. They covered that in the 90s, but they didn't actually say what it was.
They actually didn't know his real name until he went and changed it years later.
In the 90s.
Yeah, they changed it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, they never... Out of all the personal family shit that went on with all of them, like Robin and everything, the one thing they never touched on is what really happened with Fred's real dad and his stepdad. He was more close to his stepdad. It was very ominous whenever they would bring that up in the 90s.
Yeah.
But
he changed his name to Eric for a while.
Yeah, Eric Fred Norris, but... yeah, and then he changed it back to Fred Eric Norris, which, by the way, before we even go on, Fred Norris, if you haven't heard that name, he is the most underrated comedy writer of our lifetime. He is absolutely hilarious. Everything he does is hilarious, but he writes for Howard, so it's being said through Howard, but he is easily the most underrated comic mind. Another thing
he controls all the drops too.
His
sound drops.
He is ridiculously famous for his sound drops because of how well timed they are, how quick he is on the buttons. Some of it is not to reveal the curtain, but some of it is he's writing the jokes for Howard, so he knows what's coming up, so he can drop the sound bites in just absolutely perfectly. But one thing I wanted to say. Before I wanted to say it at the beginning, but Fred and Howard, anyone that's ever had a desire to do what we're doing right now, to talk into a microphone, to be funny, to say whatever we want, we owe a debt of gratitude to Fred and Howard. They definitely were pioneers in the sense that they came along in such a vanilla time. Like, the comparison I can make is what stand-up comedy owes Lenny Bruce. Lenny Bruce is the first ever comic to get arrested for cursing on stage. He went up on stage, he read his fine. We can do an episode about Lenny Bruce if you guys want. He went on stage, he read a citation, he got arrested. Famously, he was arrested with George Carlin. George Carlin stuck up for him at a club, got arrested with him.
Oh, wow.
So, we definitely owe a debt of gratitude to him. Everyone that shits on him is just like, they just don't appreciate what he did through the FCC wars or whatever. But,
well, people that do dislike him, it goes, if you're someone who's listened and then you're like, oh, he did that, I don't like that, then that's justifiable because he has done some fucked up things.
But it was always as a character too. Like, it was like, you can understand if you're from a humor perspective, if you're like a really deep humorist.
Sometimes in his earlier days, he did stuff.
In the early days, he
didn't have good timing when it came to certain things.
Well, he like anybody else, it's a work in progress. But one thing I can definitely say about him with the earlier years is, sure, he definitely said some things that were fucked up, but it was his early attempts at parodying what he was actually saying. So he would parody racism, he would parody sexism, and it was.
Well, I'm talking about when there was a plane crash and there was a whole bunch of like burn.
That's on. Stop.
Yikes.
For sure. Whenever you're trying to, the thing that sucks about cancel culture, and I've actually gone through it as a stand-up. The thing that sucks about cancel culture is you might say something stupid, you might say something dumb. I'm a stand-up comedian, in case you didn't know.
No, I didn't. That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
He stands up and does comedy.
Yeah.
Now he's sitting down, so he's not as good.
Right.
Such a shame.
We all go through something where the biggest lie told when you're talking about comedy, the biggest lie is every truth is said in jest. That might be true for an average person. For a comedian, it is not true whatsoever, not even a tiny bit. I can say something to you completely joking around, not mean it, not mean a single word of it, not have it be anything to do with my character, and I can say it because I could either think it's going to laugh or you're going to get upset and laugh.
Yeah.
So it's that myth that every truth is said in jest is just, it doesn't work in comedy. So I just want to have that mentioned, and that's the only way I can defend his early stuff, because some of it's fucked up, as we'll talk about.
Yeah.
So, towards the end of that, Fred is the longest tenured member of the Howard Stern show. He was not the first, as we'll go into, but he was the longest tenured. He was with the show the longest. Fred didn't join him on the show until 1981, even though he had known him for 2 years. He just basically, the story there was radio shows had zero budget back then. He was super impressed by Fred from the very onset. He said it was very easy. It flowed working with him. He loved him, but it wasn't until he moved into a major market that he was able to hire him. They didn't have the budget until then. But so in between that, in 1980, Howard left Hartford, and he left Hartford when he was denied a raise. At the time, he was wildly popular in the area, and he had actually made news for a very positive thing. He made national news for boycott on the Shell Oil Company. It was during the oil crisis. He said, for 2 days, no one buys Shell oil. So he made national news for that. He was only asking for a $40 a week per week raise, something in that area of $40. So after he was denied the raise, he quit, and he went off into Detroit. During the later years, he described Detroit as a hell on earth. But he does credit that period for when he decided to cut down barriers and be more open on air. He started lying less in advertisements and stuff like that. He felt that he was becoming too much of an FM announcer, and he felt he was getting away from his true self. So he wanted,
hey, everybody.
Yeah. Hey now.
Yeah.
Hey now.
But he decided he wanted to be more open on air. He felt becoming too much of an FM announcer. He did controversial stunts at first. Some were positive, some were negative. Some of the positives, he did a bra burning in public perspective. He thought that women back then had to wear a bra. They were slut shamed if they didn't wear a bra. He didn't think that bras were necessary, so he held a bra burning outside in his parking lot. He would wrestle, but some of the controversial ones was he would wrestle some of those women once they burned their bras outside of his studios. He was
the first person to have a woman get undressed on
that's
air.
coming as well. Yeah, you'd be surprised how much I covered here. But he would then wrestle some of the women. Everyone was obviously consenting, but it definitely was not the norm in 1980 to be wrestling a braless woman, because it was not believed they should be braless in public in the first place, and now he's wrestling them. So for equality, he wrestled women, which is hilarious.
Old Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, but he did bring like sex positive to a time where it was becoming not.
Wasn't he also? I don't know if you, but he was also very like. I know right now the big thing is like free the nip, where if a guy's topless, it's fine, but if a girl's topless, like, oh my god. And he was very like, well, that doesn't make sense, like, because they have a breast and it's all the same thing. It's just a little bit more there on a girl than a guy.
No, that's
he's
not.
He's like, some guys have bigger breasts than women, and they can walk around with no shirt on. Like,
yeah, but he also was very even like in his early days, he would talk about like when his mom bought a Playboy for him, and he would go out to the woods and review the Playboy. He definitely was very into boobs his whole life.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that he was also very like. Some of the movements that are being talked about now, he's covered. He forever 20 years before it came out.
He had transsexuals on air before people knew what transsexuals were. Like he literally was way ahead of his time, like ridiculously ahead of his time. Speaking of like just off note for a second, that made me laugh because like when I was talking about being a comedian and culture being too woke or whatever, I have a free the nipple joke, and a girl got so pissed off at me the one time. She started just chanting, "This is sexist bullshit. This is sexist bullshit." And then she was like telling me to like get off the stage or like this was. And I don't mean be like, hey, only girl on here agree with me, but
I'm not easily offended. So
no, it's okay. So
good. This is your trial. No,
yeah. So
I'm on trial. I'm ready.
The trials of not cool in high school.
No, you're not on trial.
My joke is I genuinely say up front, I agree that women should be able to breastfeed in public.
Oh yeah.
But my argument is. The arguments for that are so bad that I believe a woman should, but when you start moving into the realm of breast aren't sexual is where you lose me, because 33% of women can achieve orgasm through nipple stimulation.
Okay, you're doing research here now.
It's a real fact that women can achieve orgasm through nipple stimulation. If you touch mine, it's like dead cardboard. Ben tries all the time. Well, like, so my joke is, it's definitely a joke, but my joke is I support a woman's right to breastfeed in public, and I start talking about the statistics, and I say, like, but I also support my right to masturbate to it because it's a beautiful natural act.
There you go.
Like, because it's essentially, I think you've probably heard the joke, but it's like, I support a woman's right to breastfeed in public because it's a beautiful natural act, and then I drop the statistics, and then but I also support my right to breastfeed, to masturbate to it because it's a beautiful natural act. And she was so pissed off. Like, she was like, I'm gonna, like, she said, what's your name? She's like, I'm putting this on social media. Like, this girl was trying to end my career at a $5 show in Scranton when I was acknowledging that a woman should be allowed to breastfeed, and I completely acknowledge that it's unreasonable that they shouldn't be, but I also said, like, are we discounting the 33% of women that can orgasm through nipple stimulation? Do they not count now? Are they not sexual beings? Like, that's my argument against it.
I walked into a breastfeeding area, but it was like one of those ones that was like secluded from people, like a privacy one.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, I was in a museum. I think it was in Pittsburgh, and I walked in the museum, and I turned a corner thinking that was like the bathroom entrance. Yeah. And I turned the corner, and there's like 9 moms breastfeeding. And like,
I think that's ridiculous too.
But
like,
they were just there. They were just like, because in this area they didn't cover anything. Like, they were just both boobs out. Like, and I just like, I turned the corner, I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to come in here. Bathroom, and then she's like, oh, it's over here. I was like, I'm so sorry. But I don't want to be rude.
That sort of goes to my argument though, because just because boobs can be sexual doesn't mean you don't have the right to choose what you do with them. I don't give a shit. Like, that's really my argument. Is I think that you shouldn't be discounted as a sexual being just because you choose to participate in this. Just like if you dress bad, you're not a slut.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just trying to get her opinion on that. I'm trying to,
like, weigh in.
Is that offensive?
No.
Okay, thank you.
And not only that, you have like the.
It's not offensive, and it's not funny. I'm joking.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I mean,
it's fine. That's not a great compliment for a stand-up joke. It's fine.
No, I think it's a good joke.
I would have to do the whole bit, Andy.
Nah, I'm not even gonna get into what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't. Anyway, go ahead.
It's already censored anyway with the baby's head. You know what I mean? So it doesn't really matter.
The baby's head.
Why do you always take it to another level?
It's so weird.
Am I wrong?
Ben's all about the mound, not so much the nip.
Am I wrong?
Wait, what?
I don't care.
No.
What if it's an invisible baby?
I missed the reference. I don't know what's going on. All right, let's back to Hearts.
Oh my god.
That's such a solid joke.
Side turn.
Full, just so everyone's aware. But
it is pretty good, Mac.
Stop patting yourself on the back and read your article.
It's a solid. That's
I'll pat him on the back.
Yeah.
Give him a hand job already, but whatever.
What the fuck is happening tonight?
I don't know. Ben's getting a little toasty. He's trying to.
So Howard was in Detroit.
Yeah.
Anyhow, bring it back in.
Yeah. So what's insane about his career, and this plagued him literally his entire career, was that year so during all these outrageous stunts he's making the media, he won Best Album Oriented DJ of the Year, but the management still thought he was too controversial, so he was later fired. But he got what got him fired from Detroit is well, a couple things, but one of the biggest things was he got into trouble with management over a stunt to hit Japanese cars with a sledgehammer. Whoa. Because he was trying to support the American car industry. So he said, if you hit a Japanese car with a sledgehammer, we will give you $1.06, which was the frequency, 106.
Okay.
Yeah, so he got...
Was he advocating people to go hit random cars in the street, or did they have
a Japanese car with a sledgehammer? You barely saw Japanese cars back then, but he was like, it was being outrageous. He was being, you should
I didn't know. I thought they might have had like a car
Edgy.
at the studio and you can come hit it.
I'm sure there was something going on with Japanese cars back then, but it was more supporting the American car industry. It's
in Detroit, which is probably not a terrible thing.
Exactly. That's very important to mention. It was in Detroit. So it's... Yeah. So basically, that's basically what happened. So that and the decision to go from rock to country, and him being dissatisfied with the company that owned the station, he decided that it was best if they mutually parted ways, and he turned down other offers with their affiliates. So while they said to him, we don't think you should continue on this station, we're going to country, we will send you to our affiliates. And he declined it because of the issues he was having with management. So in 1981, he goes off to a job at WWDC in Washington. One thing he felt was missing from the show was news. He felt that he'd always covered the news and satire, and felt it would be funnier if a serious news person came on to sort of riff with, so to sort of jive with. So here's what they did in Howard Stern fashion. Management sent out tapes to potential candidates and got interested from a captain of the U.S. Air Force who, after working in a hospital, was an on-air newscaster and like sort of like one of those on the spot reporters or whatever, but for news. And her name was Robin Ophelia Quivers.
Ophelia,
Yeah.
I knew.
So the tape that they had sent out that had caught her attention was of Howard interviewing a prostitute. So she thought that it was so hilarious that she could work with this guy. There's I don't know if it's still on YouTube. It always gets pulled down. A lot of stuff from his different stations get pulled down from YouTube because different people claim copyrights on it or whatever. But they talked on phone, and he said he felt that the reporter was he felt she had a strong broadcaster voice.
Yeah.
That was one thing he was always self-conscious about, because they always told him he was never going to have like a broadcasting voice or whatever. And she had this very formal broadcasting voice. She was a strong woman. She was captain in the U.S. Air Force. She was a badass, basically.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Cool. She was an absolute badass. Yeah, she went up the ranks of the U.S. Air Force quickly. She was a nurse for most of it. She tells a story like maybe in the 90s or whatever that she like jerked off a patient or something like that.
Oh yeah, really?
Whoa.
Yeah, but
Hey
she's
there.
Yeah, she's a badass. So they immediately had a rapport as of March 81. It was very early in March 81 that they hired her. She then, other than a brief stint off air when they moved to another station, which we're getting to, they worked together since 81. And later that year, in October 81, Howard had raised the ratings so much, he was setting all kinds of ratings records, he was setting all kinds of advertisement records, that his first demand before he could sign a new contract was that Fred was to be hired as a writer and a producer on the show. So that's when we got introduced to Fred Norris officially on air. He said the humor and ease of working with Fred stuck with him forever, and he never forgot those moments after working with him. Fred was an overnight DJ, and Howard would see him in the mornings in 79, so he was so impressed by him that he kept that memory of him and brought him on. So that's 81. By 82, Howard was already the second highest rated program in the city. But he was fired later that year. Again, it's unclear as to why, but it's believed that clashes with management and a bit he did in which an airliner had crashed at the city's 14th Street Bridge led to his firing. Howard does deny it, but the bit was controversial, more controversial than he leads you to believe. Basically what he did was he made people believe that he called the airline and asked how much a one-way ticket to the 14th Street Bridge would be. And yeah. So
That's funny.
It was not a real call, but it people believed it was a real call. What time is it now?
10 minutes.
Oh shit! All right, yeah, we can. Actually, we're on the last page, so we'll be able to do that.
There we go.
Yeah, it's we can. The part 2 will be more of the story.
Yeah, and then when you come back next week, we'll do part 2.
Okay.
Not next week.
That's a good
bi-weekly.
conclusion.
Bi-weekly.
Hey, tune in yet? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, man.
So. Yeah, so that's partly believed. No one ever. He doesn't really talk about the reason he was really fired. I don't think he even really knows the full reason he was fired. But shortly after, he got the job with WNBC. A lot of
WNBC.
Yeah.
Yes,
now, see if you've ever seen the movie Private Parts,
Yeah.
or you go home and watch Private Parts. A lot of them.
Pig virus.
A lot of that is.
A lot of this first half that we talked about is covered on Howard Stern Private Parts. Yeah,
Yeah,
I have the DVD.
it's a fantastic movie.
yeah, it's awesome.
I remember watching in college the one time when it was like on a Saturday night and they had Private Parts playing, and I was like fucking loaded, but I watched the whole thing pretty much.
It doesn't really do him justice if you're not a fan of his show.
Yeah.
But when you're together,
Well, didn't Detroit? I thought he didn't get. I thought not Detroit, Washington. He didn't get fired from Washington.
No, he did.
WNBC snatched him.
No. When Washington was the real controversial one, they actually had protests for him.
Okay.
Yeah. When he was originally fired, most of his jobs he got fired from. The only a few he turned down.
Yeah.
Stuff because of money. But
who's making the most money now?
Right. Exactly. I mean, well, the hilarious part is like during his time at WNBC, Pig Virus, the character Pig Virus from the movie, would always tell him he's not going to be as big as their helicopter reporter Roz Frank.
Yeah.
He'd be like, Roz Frank is the future of this station. Like he would beat that into his head. And there's a hilarious clip where Howard's reminiscing about that, and Artie's like, "What a visionary!" Like that's a good. But shortly after the job at WNBC, after he got hired at WNBC, they reneged on their promise of hiring Robin. So he retaliated versus the station by torturing the news people that they tried to bring in for him. He even reportedly made a grown man cry and have a mental breakdown. A sports reporter that he tried to get the news because he was so loyal to Robin.
Yeah. Didn't he call the one guy's wife?
Yeah,
he called the guy's wife and asked her about their sex life.
Yeah,
on air.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's not even close to the most messed up shit he did. Like Fred would write him notes about the news person while the news person was talking, and he would just be like, "Shut up," and he would like give these lines to him. A lot of those old recordings are hard to find, but they're funny if you can find them.
Another good one that they reenact in the movie at this is when Robin comes back, so I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. Is the words you can't say on the radio.
Yeah.
So they do a skit and like the word pussy. So they're like, "What is the word of the day?" And they're like, "Blank willow." So like, "Oh, pussy willow." Like blank a doodle do. I know a big cock when I see one. Like, and they just because they did every single loophole
to get to
get it by the FCC.
FCC was
this was before the FCC wars. The FCC wars really started in 1990. It was between 1990 and 2004.
WNBC would fucking lose their shit.
Well, you are skipping ahead because but 1990 to 2004 he was fined $2.5 million total by the FCC for violations, which is why I mentioned anyone that talks into a microphone that wants to say what they want to say owes a debt of gratitude for everything he went through because they tried to rip him off the air every possible way.
YouTube is doing that. YouTube, like if they kind of lean more towards leftist. Like if you're a right side guy and you make a video and you say something, you're like, "Oh, your video is demonetized."
Yeah,
like
demonetized.
Another video will have the same content, but they're more from a different angle, and YouTube lets them go. And I can care less. I'm not either side. But like if you curse, you're demonetized or like that.
Yeah, the one podcast is.
But on the same token, like they'll throw ads on your video and make money off your video, but you don't get a cent of it.
Yeah.
That's also what happens in that case where they put ads on the video is somebody else can claim them. So if you talk about a company, say we talk about KFC, this happened in H3 podcast, they'll put an ad on the video, but they'll send the money to KFC. Like KFC can claim it. Like if you're another YouTuber and they play your content, you can claim the video, even if it's 2 minutes out of 2 hours.
Oh wow!
And they're still advertising on it.
Well, they're doing this thing now where if you license your video as it's not for kids, I think they're trying to find a way to get certain content back to monetization.
Okay.
Because there's
so much controversy. This podcast, H3 podcast, goes through it a lot. They actually do really well on describing what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that's what I mean. I mean, like with Howard talking to Mike, he was some of the stuff, comedy is very hard to hold up over time. Some of his stuff does hold up, some of it doesn't. But what you have to understand is he was doing shit you were not allowed to do. Like he, especially with WNBC, so he mentioned how they would freak out. They had very strict restrictions. And to the point where he would want to talk about it on air, but they wouldn't want to talk to him. So he would go into their offices while they were on air, holding a phone, like a portable phone, and be like, "Whatever, Pig Virus or whatever. Why can't I say this?" And he would like hold it up to him for like
put him on the spot.
Yeah, like they would storm his like they would storm management, like
or when he's like, they're like, "You need to read the weather and the news at every top of the hour, every hour," and he's like, "Yeah, so I was driving and it was a car accident." The person was mangled. The body was everywhere. So 603, 40 degrees out, WNBC.
So
anyway,
he fucked with them. He would fuck with them in every possible way. Back then, it was so hilarious. Just like even like in the '90s, towards when he was about to go on Sirius and the stuff they couldn't do, like just hearing them work around, it was just always hilarious. It was equally as hilarious as it is.
That's when they couldn't have guests on. They couldn't get guests, so they would just do voice actors to come in and play the guests.
Well, yeah, something with like fake Arnold and stuff like that.
Well, I'm just back in WNBC
was,
days where Robin would play a character, or
Well, Howard also, what they would do is he would go out. So Stuttering John's known as like the ambush interviewer or whatever, but Howard Stern would do that himself back in the WNBC days. He would go out and do the outrageous questions at news conferences or whatever.
Yeah.
So, so he.
Sorry, I got you off track, right?
No, that's all right. So, despite record high ratings, he fell out with management. But before that, 1983, Jackie the Joke Man was asked to come on part time. The way they discovered him was Jackie would send him tapes of his comedy and his music, and he was like a strip club comedian. Like he was like a very
Jackie. That sounds Jackie.
Jackie, yeah.
Yeah, so he would invite him in to write notes or whatever. That Jackie claims the first note. The reason he eventually got the job with Howard Stern is he wrote the note where Howard was talking about a woman eating snacks, and he slipped him a note saying "snacks, snatch." So Howard would then talk about her snatch. So that's where Jackie credits himself with getting the job. It took 3 years. But so 1983 is when they brought in the Joke Man. He would hand tapes. In 1984, Gary Delabate was hired for the traffic department. Gary Delabate at the time did not pronounce his name Gary Delabate.
Yeah, Gary Delabate.
Gary Delabate. He would pronounce it Gary Delabate, and Howard Stern basically changed his last name. Now his whole family pronounces it Delabate.
Noin.
That's how I can't wait to do the second part where we talk about our favorite episodes and stuff. But he was Howard on. His nickname, starting in 1984 until the early 90s, was Boy Gary, because he was very young when he was hired there. He actually he was so young that he tried out for a spot on MTV, and he made this super cringy video of like,
oh boy,
yeah,
especially with his accent was really bad.
Gary should just stay away from video cameras.
Yeah, it was super cringy, the video he made.
And Gary,
he's like, so we're chilling with my boys, the Beastie Boys.
Oh, God.
Just like,
and he has really bad teeth.
Yeah,
and a really weird big mustache.
Yeah.
It just accentuates his teeth.
Quickly, the one thing I love so much about the Howard Stern show, though, is all these characters throughout all the years, he found a way to make them interesting.
Yeah.
Like, he took an everyday person and turned them into the most fascinating person when they were talking about him. Like, my favorite in that regard is Grillo. Like, he's like this stupid kid or whatever.
These Steve Grillos.
Yeah, and he's making him so interesting. The funniest Grillo clip ever, not to keep jumping ahead, but the funniest Grillo clip ever is when Grillo does a radio show. And he's like, my name is Steve Grillo, but it's been bastardized over the years. Some people call me Grillo. Other people call me Gorilla. But he repeats the same word. He's like, it's bastardized. But he's like, my name's Steve Grillo, but some people call me Steve Gorilla.
Takes the whole curtain out as he walks by.
Absolutely hilarious.
All that room, and he just rips the curtain as he...
But all right, we're going to get towards the end here. Yeah, so 1984 is when he started to really clash with management. He was storming the management. He was having people call the station on his behalf. They had a super strict format. They would try to get him to pronounce words like WNBC. He would make fun of it on air.
NBC.
1984 is when him and management had his biggest clash, when he had his first naked woman in the studio. He locked the studio doors so they could not get in.
Which is so dumb because no one could see it.
Yeah, exactly. So he brings this woman in to get naked, and he locks out management so they can't get in or whatever.
Who played the naked woman in the movie?
Gemma Jameson.
Jenna Jameson.
Yep. So then 1985, he starts breaking every record as far as broadcasting goes. However, the issues with management had boiled over to a point that they were now on air almost every day, where he was calling management and cursing them off. He was calling...
Got physical.
Yeah, he was calling. He would call pig vomit every day and essentially curse him out. He described John Hayes, who was a program director back then, as the Incubus, and he would go after the Incubus, and he would try to expel the Incubus demons. which is absolutely hilarious. But the last straw with WNBC is when he held Bestiality Dial-A-Date. So Dial-A-Date was a feature almost since
That's how Fred met his wife.
Yeah, Fred met his wife during a Dial-A-Date episode.
Skipping ahead, but all right, yeah. So since almost the early days, Dial-A-Date was Howard's creation. He would do Dial-A-Date for members of the staff or just strangers in the audience or whatever.
Or like a guy would call in and be like, I've never been laid. And he's like, well, we're going to do a Dial-A-Date with you.
Yeah, but he also, like in the mid-70s when being a lesbian was very taboo, he had lesbian Dial-A-Date. He would do all kinds of forward progressive Dial-A-Dates. So then he tried to hold Bestiality Dial-A-Date.
Oh, wow.
During Bestiality Dial-A-Date, a chairman immediately called into the station and ordered he be fired. They actually lied to him. You can hear there's still the recording on YouTube of his last day on WNBC. He calls this guy and he's like, wait a minute, they gave the thing that he was going for to another disc jockey, and he's like, if he gave it to him, I'm out of here. And he's like, well, no, I haven't heard anything. And obviously they gave it to the other one, and they were denying he was fired, but he was fired.
Yeah, and then he had a big problem working with Don Imus as well at WNBC.
Well, that's in the Radio Wars section, but he, like I said,
their backstage stuff, their Radio Wars happened, but their disdain for each other happened while they were working.
Completely
together,
real. Yeah, he had a major. So for people that don't know anything about him, Robin's black, and he had a major problem with Don Imus because Don Imus would call the secretary, who was a black woman, the N-word. He would physically boss around, call her the N-word. So he sort of exposed.
Didn't he make some? In passing in the hallway, he made a comment to Robin or something one time.
He would call Robin like girl and stuff like that. Like he would be really derogatory, but it was the secretary that he would call the N-word, and he would call her like in meetings and stuff like that. So like,
and Don Imus got fired because then he had a college basketball team and called them nap. I'm saying, but
2000.
But his racist caught up to him, and that was the reason why. Racism got caught up to him, and then he
called the Rutgers basketball team that won the national championship a bunch of nappy-headed hoes.
Yeah, he's a scumbag.
Yeah. So Howard did have a field day after IMS was fired when he would go on air with that. But so after he was fired from WNBC, Don Buck, he said he felt an immediate depression, but Don Buchwald, his agent, made him feel better when he brought him a bottle of champagne and called it the greatest thing that ever happened to him. Howard then went on to do TV interviews. The demand for him was so high that later that year, WKRX, which is later K-Rock, would hire him. His big push at the time was to go into syndication, which was not common for a morning radio show. They, for people that don't know what syndication is, it would be they would record the radio show in the morning and it would be broadcast to multiple networks. So he was in New York, it would be sent out across the country. So at his peak listenership was during syndication. He had over 20 million listeners in the country.
And then it ended up going to where as soon as he went live on that station, other stations would have it on their stations as well, live.
Right. Well, they had to. So this is
he was one of the first ones to do that.
Yeah, and because there was like this one old like Cousin Brucey show was the one syndicated show, and he would always make fun of that. Yeah. So, but when he syndicated them, when he got syndicated, it would go out to all these different stations, and that's what really started the radio wars. Because when he got syndicated, he would go into just say Philadelphia or whatever. Whoever the DJ was at the time, in this case John DeBella, was one of his most famous rivals. He would go in there and he would trash that DJ, just like throw everything at him. So he went to Philadelphia and he held the funeral for John DeBella or whatever.
WMMR.
Yeah, so they went into he would go in insane radio wars, and he eventually won every network, pretty much every market. He would kick them out, like Mark and Brian. He would trash them because they were selling their merchandise. He would never do that to fans. That was a very big sticking point for him forever in his career.
Not that his fans don't want it. Like if I made a Howard Stern T-shirt or sticker or some of his old tapes, I'd buy it a heartbeat.
Yeah, well, back then, like especially his biggest clash with management in Detroit, especially was they wanted to make Howard Stern T-shirts, and he wanted to make sure they were getting their money's worth. So if they were soliciting his fans, he wanted to make sure it was a good product, but he didn't feel like he was knowledgeable enough in that area to make a good product. So he was very, very, very honorable in that way. You could always hear him in the 90s. Again, we'll talk about that the next one, but in the 90s he would always trash employees for putting on comedy shows and putting his name on it because he didn't think they were great comedians like Stuttering John. And he would trash them for it, and he was very ethical in that way, but also hilarious because of how much he would trash them. But so He in 1986, Jackie is eventually hired for full time. 1988, Billy West and Stuttering John joined the cast. Billy West, very famous voice actor, will cover a lot of stuff he went on to do next episode. Stuttering John is the biggest piece of shit, in my opinion, in the show's history. But the reason Stuttering John was hired, do you know why Stuttering John was hired?
Probably. He stuttered and he wasn't afraid to go out and do public interviews.
Here's exactly how Stuttering John got the job. All right, this comedian Mitch Patel, Mitch Patel, would go out. He would do the celebrity interviews or whatever. He would write comedy for Howard. He had to leave because he was in a serious car accident. His dad didn't want to pay for the car anymore. He didn't want him working for free. So he came in and he told Gary that he had a replacement for him that he went to NYU with, and it was a stuttering guy. And he pitched him to Gary. Gary goes into Howard and he said, Mitch has a replacement. He's a guy that stutters. Howard immediately said, hire him. So they did his interview.
Howard would take someone who had not to just always poke fun at them, but he would take someone.
He normalized disabilities.
Yeah, he would normalize them and say
he made those people's lives much better.
Exactly. I can't wait until the next episode when I get to really trash Stuttering John. But I fucking hate that dude.
I always like John to stutter.
But he did so good at normalizing like disabilities. But John was a case where he literally was like, he stutters, okay, hire him. They do his interview in Scott's studio to record him. Like that's how that was.
Nothing was.
Ooh.
Yeah, nothing. Howard's thing was you save it for the station. Yeah. Like if
nothing was off limits.
If Howard was our boss, our group chat wouldn't exist.
Yeah,
he'd be like, no, that happens on air, like that.
Or he would flame it to be more like this has got to go on air.
Yeah.
He would flame the argument and just like observe the argument. But all right, just to wrap up until next episode. So Billy West eventually leaves over money, which is unfortunate. He was a hilarious voiceover actor. Some of the best characters ever on the show, which we'll talk about next show. But eventually Jackie leaves over money, which in 2001 Howard holds the contest, Win Jackie's Money, to which Artie Lang eventually ends up winning after a bunch of different replacements. 2004, John leaves for The Tonight Show. Sal and Richard come in for the audition for Wins John's Money, which was an awesome contest. Richard actually won. He was drummer for Death at the time. Yeah. Phenomenal drummer.
He is a very good drummer.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, like
he's my favorite.
It's insane how good he is.
Insane.
Charles Walls Damned is his band. Yeah, he was in Death, and he was also in what was it?
Iced Earth.
Yeah, Iced Earth. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was a phenomenal drummer. He actually ended up winning it, and then Sal got hired on later on.
For harassing Gary as much as possible over the phones.
Yeah, we'll leave it. Yeah, we'll leave it there, but we'll talk about how Sal. That's where we'll pick up.
Yeah,
is the 90s, and that's where Sal and all the other characters.
Yeah.
But all right, I gotta pee before I pee my pants. So.
All right, well we're gonna wrap it up
that's
there.
That's part one of Howard.
You have anything to plug before you leave?
Just no, because
Ben.
I think they're gonna figure it out.
Nothing.
Probably not either.
All right, Ben really urges you to go check out Bang and Beers podcast.
Of course.
Do you have anything you want to plug?
Nope.
Nothing. Andy?
Hey, there's a good comic Kickstarter going on. It's called Aurora right now. It's by Sora Sung, and her art's fantastic, and the comic is pretty good. It's about a girl who joins a superhero, like a government task force type deal. It's really good.
I have a new gimmick for you for this show.
Aurora on Kickstarter. Check it out.
Angry Andy.
No.
He hates everything.
Andy's new Kickstarter program. Like, find a cool thing on Kickstarter.
Oh, I get it every week. Yeah.
Yeah, and just come up. Like, what is?
There's also the Lady Death Malevolent Creation one right now.
So here's the thing, like
Malevolent Damnation.
I know we have it. Like, for me, I need to find something new because I don't have time to go watch and do stuff as much, and I'm always trying to find something new for someone to do, and like. Talking about, like, sometimes it takes a long time to finish a game or a TV show.
Yes,
and we're here every week. So like, if there's something that you could brainstorm, come up with it. Like, that's a cool idea. Like, I think that'd be fun. Like, because you're so into Kickstarter, you have 31's going.
Yeah,
that's, you know what I mean.
I didn't get that. Since the topic that I didn't get to my comic this week, which is from Kickstarter. So
yeah,
I brought a comic.
Yeah, we'll do it next week. We were gonna do the Howard thing as just like a full episode and not do the rest.
Yeah.
But being your first episode, I kind of want you to have like an idea or a flow what's going on here.
Oh, thank you.
The way the topic thing works is if there's something you're into and you want to kind of shed light on it or do like the history of, you just say, hey, I have one for this week, and start working. You always what we always kind of do is always have one in the chamber. Like I have one typed up. I just haven't had a chance to do it yet because I had the 4 shows and I'm recording as much as I have
You're a
been.
busy man.
Oh my God, look at you guys! It's fucking.
I
You're ruining the illusion. We're back in the kitchen here. But that's pretty much it. So go check out the rest of the content. Did you have a good time?
I did. Thank you.
You're not
It was
leaving
a-
us?
No, I'm not.
All right.
I'm here to
Cool.
stay. Can't get rid of me.
It would be
Awesome.
hilarious after if she's like, that breastfeeding joke was so out of line.
Yeah,
Never coming
I'm
back.
so offended.
Jesus Christ! No, it's fine. It's really good, and I say it's fine all the time because that's just how I talk. So you're
Yeah.
good. You're
we
good. I'm
met-
not easily offended.
We met at Steve's birthday party, and
did.
after we left, I was like, I said to Heidi, and I think I said in the group chat and stuff, I was like, oh my God, I want them to on the show. I want her and her husband on the show so bad, and now here we are.
Yeah.
So it works
We are.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really like the dynamic we're growing here, and it kind of changes every week because but even when they're both here, you could still come and take a mic. We have 6 mics.
If you want to,
okay.
so
Yeah.
it's up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be here next week. Yeah.
Yeah. So all right.
I'll be here every week.
Yeah, awesome. So that'll wrap it up here for Not Cool in High School. Here is some Look Alive. See you guys next week for Howard Stern. Actually, next week is what is Steve covering? Is Steve doing
No,
something? Oh no,
remember, it's me,
you have
yeah.
Red Lady
Oh, I
Death.
was gonna say, can you get it? Can you get it? Red Dead Redemption. No, Lady Death.
Lady
The
Death
comic
next
book.
week by Andy, and then we're going to go over some of the show and tell. Actually, we might sneak show and tell into the snacks. Do you want to do everyone have time to do a snack thing real quick?
If not, we can do it next week. Whatever.
Yeah, we'll
let's
figure it
end
out.
this.
We'll get off the
All
end
right,
here.
thanks
See you
for
guys next
listening.
time.